I guess it helps when you put your mic back on. That's usually a good idea. Welcome, everyone, to Social Change Warriors, to our first episode of Friday Night Lies. I grew up with Friday Night Lights. My dad was a huge football fan, a huge sports fan in Wisconsin. So we spent literally every Friday night that I can have any memory of my entire life going to football games on Friday night, and then basketball and hockey during the winter season. So I truly did grow up on a bleacher. When I tell people that, I'm not joking. I really did every Friday night. So when I was thinking about that it was time for Social Change Warriors to start covering a little bit of the John O'Keefe just very tragic murder and the court case and arrest and everything that has happened to Karen Reed with the hung jury. And now the second trial is coming up. So I thought, well, let's go ahead and start talking about it. The main reason I waited is because I had leads on other cases. We have been following other murder cases and one missing person. Sorry, I'm babysitting the grandpuppy tonight, so I may have to kick him out of my room. So hang on a second. I maybe have to be right back. I'll bring Annette up to talk to you guys for a minute. So come here, Zeus. Come here. So that's why we waited, because we literally had all these leads to follow other cases that we were interested in, and we're actually working with families of victims right now. So I thought it would be best. There were so many really great content creators that are in Massachusetts, where you all live, where this case is happening, which makes it way more relevant to you than it was to me. But as a person who follows murder cases and have for years, and especially when a police officer is involved, as most of you know, I'm former law enforcement, I was very intrigued with this case. So I have been following it since the get-go. I remember reading about it online. I think it was Twitter. And I thought maybe what a lot of you thought. I thought maybe this was just two people who drank too much, and one of them got out of the car and slipped, and the other one didn't know it and backed into them. I honestly believed that in the beginning. But then as I started to pay more attention to the case, I was very alarmed and disturbed, as most of you have been. So that's why we decided to go ahead and let's look at the witness testimony again. Let's take a close look. I know other content creators have done it and are doing it, but I wanted to do it. So I thought, why not? I'm live streaming. I have this platform now. So let's do it. Let's look at some of the witnesses. So that's what we're going to do tonight. I'm going to bring Annette up on stage with me. She is our trusty researcher that we have been able to add to our Social Change Warriors team. Amber, who you've gotten to know, my second chair, assistant recruiter, assistant Princess Warrior, will be joining us very soon. She works a full-time job and gets right off of work and comes right to live stream with us, which is really admirable of her. And same for Annette as well. She has grandchild duty and child duty during the day. I am retired. My children are growing. So I give a ton of credit to these two ladies with everything they've got on their plates. But right now we have 6 open cases on our plates, and 3 of them we're actually working with and have met the families. So we are feeling very emotional now and attached to these. So we're going to take a break like halfway through tonight, and I'm just going to introduce you to the other victims and their families that we're standing for. And if you have any interest in other, in coming with us out. Come here, Zeusy. Come here. Come say hi to Annette. So Zeus was outside last night during our last night's live stream when we were with Ed Byers calling out corruption in Indiana. And he actually, I heard him yelp right out to I'm back in my office, and right out to the back is the backyard where he chases the possum. And I'm like, oh no. So I quickly put the guest, I said, Guess, you got to take this over, because Annette and Amber weren't with me last night. So I said, Guess, I need you. You need to chat. I have to run. So I alerted my son to this yelping noise, and he said, oh, it's nothing. It's probably just the possum. And I said, no, he cried. I think he's in pain. Well, sure enough, I came back in here, didn't know what had happened. And Zeus had finally, after 4 years of chasing this possum that lives in our backyard, managed to get it off the fence and bring it into the house. So there was a possum in my living room last night while I was living, and it played dead for over 3 minutes, my son said. So he got up and walked back out into the backyard. Bye-bye, possum.
Real quick, Ripper Jack is in the chat. He said he can't say anything. He's doing stuff, but he stopped in and said hello.
Nice. I will get to the chat. I didn't get to the chat yet. That's great. So anyway, guys, that's what's going on. I'm babysitting the grandpuppy tonight, and I'm going to let Annette introduce herself, and I'm going to have to put him into the other room. I'll be right back.
Okay, so I got involved in true crime back with Ripper Jack and a lot of other really awesome creators, Eric Hosey, Paul Capaldi. That's how I got into true crime. And then I stumbled across Karen Reed's case when Emily D. Baker was running it, and we were watching it as jurors. So I watched it just like I was a juror. I didn't have any other background. I wasn't in with any of the drama that was going on back and forth from both sides. And that's how I got into it.
Thanks, Annette. And it's just been great knowing you and having you on as a special guest and helping us with research for the cases that we're actually helping the family with research on, and looking over all the police reports with me. It's really been a great help. You were just fantastic. So welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, to all our regular subscribers and who are now our friends, because they care about our victims and our victim families. We thank you so much for being here tonight live with us. If you're in the chat, thank you. All your questions, comments, you are welcome. I will put them up. And thank you, and welcome all new viewers tonight. We're happy to have you wherever you have come from, whether it's you're on Free Karen Reed all the way, or you are not for Free Karen Reed. You believe she actually did hit John with her car while she was drunk. We welcome all of you tonight with your comments and questions and suggestions for anything that we have going on tonight. So thank you so much. So I just have those that have gotten to know me and have been coming to the lives for our other families that we're covering. You know, I like to use my slide deck just for a minute every time. So like I said, this is our Friday night series now. We're going to be looking at one or two witnesses, not necessarily every Friday night, but quite a few of them, because we want to look at as many as we can before the trial starts. So again, we are Social Change Warriors. We're a nonprofit, and we are here to support victims and their families, victims of major crimes. Right now, our cases involve domestic violence, murder. We have a missing person here in Florida. We're working with her sister. And I also have a new case that I met with the wife of Jason Veach twice now in person. She lives very close to me. And we met with the sheriff yesterday, the Volusia County Sheriff, and we got some more answers. So she'll be coming back live with us next week. And we'll tell you more about our cases, like I said, when we take a break, if you're interested, or you can take a break and get up and get your coffee or use the bathroom, get another glass of wine. It's Friday night if you like alcohol or whatever you like to drink. And I'll be talking a little bit about our other victims and their families during our short break in the middle of our live tonight. So Katie. So we're going to be talking with Katie. I respectfully ask you that you do not disparage Katie in any way. Her looks, her voice, her stature, her job. We're not here to do that. We do not bully people, even if they committed a crime. There's no reason to ever do that. So we're here to just talk about her testimony and the key elements of her testimony. And was she being evasive? Yes or no? Was she blatantly lying? Yes or no? And do you think she was coached to be evasive or coached to lie if the circumstance was vital enough that she was coached to say, okay, if this happens, you're going to have to lie? I mean, that's really pushing it, because for a prosecutor to tell someone to lie under oath is just so egregious. And if they were ever caught, they'd be disbarred. So I really don't believe that happened. But coaching to be evasive, and then she took it to another level, I don't know. But that's what we're going to talk about tonight. And so I welcome anything you have to say in the chat. And again, thanks for being here. So we're going to start out going back in history just a little bit. So bear with me, because I have to pull up a video that I have already up in my tab. So it'll just take me a second. I'm going to share my screen. I'm quite new at showing videos during lives. We weren't doing that the first few months. We were mostly just all about the case and the police reports and our victims' family members. So this is kind of new to me, but I'm gonna try this tonight for a few minutes to try to show you a few things that I would like to show you. So first of all, let me bring this up and let's see if it will play for me. Just want to go back in time just a little bit. Now, if Annette, if you can let me know that you can hear this, because I end up getting scooted into another space and time.
I want to show you something real quick, though. These are specifically for you. Oh, my disco ball earplugs.
Oh, for goodness sake. Well, I will definitely look at them. I'm not seeing you guys right now. I'm not seeing you. So, but I'm just going to give this a try, and you let me know if you can hear this.
I'm Aiden Carney of Turtle Boy Daily News.
Yep.
I've been investigating the death of John O'Keefe from Canton, Massachusetts. His girlfriend, Karen Reed, is charged with his murder.
Now, just to be clear, you didn't do it.
That's the view it would have gotten.
But is there something more going on here? Is Karen Reed the victim of a massive cover-up? During my investigation, I have uncovered a town full of corruption. Here's what I believe happened, and why I believe Karen Reed was framed.
Don't you want to ask some questions? I know you do.
I do. I
know you do.
I have to think that you could outsmart Karen Reed. Did you? It's how can you wear those buttons when you covered up his murder? Any comment on that? Why you Googled that 227? On the morning of January 29, 2022, Boston police officer John O'Keefe was found dead outside of the Canton home of Boston Police Sergeant Brian Albert on 34 Fairview Road. O'Keefe's girlfriend, Karen Reed, was charged with manslaughter after reportedly backing over O'Keefe with her car after she got into a fight with him and dropped him off at Albert's house after a night of drinking. She was castigated widely as a cop-killing villain, set to face decades in prison. But as it would turn out, at least a dozen people were in the house when John O'Keefe was being violently beaten to death before hatching an elaborate plot to frame Karen Reed for killing him. The cover-up was aided and abetted by members of the state police, the Canton Police Department, and the Norfolk County District Attorney's Office. This is the story of one woman alone, facing down some of the most powerful, well-protected people in the state who sought to destroy her life and exonerate herself. This is Karen Reed and John O'Keefe. Karen is an intelligent, successful accountant and college professor with not even a hint of a criminal record. She'd been dating John O'Keefe for several years and loved his niece and nephew, who he adopted after both of their parents, including his sister, passed away. She owned a house in Mansfield that was rented out, but lived with O'Keefe and his niece and nephew at his home on One Meadows Ave in Canton. O'Keefe was a well-liked veteran, 16 years on the force of the Boston Police Department. On February 2nd, Reed was charged with killing John O'Keefe, only with manslaughter, though, and she may have actually believed she was responsible. 4 months later, in June, the charges were upgraded to murder, despite no real evidence coming out that added to the story. State Trooper Michael Proctor wrote the criminal complaint for her arrest, noting his 10 years of experience on the State Police Detective Unit at the Norfolk County DA's office. The charging documents state that Canton officers Seraph and Mulaney were dispatched at 6:04 a.m. on January 29th to 34 Fairview Road, where they found three females, Karen Reed, Jennifer McCabe, and Kerry Roberts, next to the body of John O'Keefe. Karen Reed was performing CPR. Jennifer McCabe is pictured in this photo on the right next to her sister Nicole Albert, who is the wife of well-connected Boston Police Sergeant Brian Albert. Brian is on the fugitive apprehension team. He is a trained MMA fighter, and he was featured on the cop show Boston's Finest. At 11:30 a.m. on January 29th, Trooper Proctor interviewed Jennifer McCabe and her husband Matthew McCabe, along with Brian Albert and Nicole Albert, comfortably at the home of Jennifer McCabe. They told him that they were out at the Waterfall Bar in Canton, where Jennifer McCabe met up with her friend John O'Keefe and his girlfriend Karen Reed, who she did not know very well. The connection between them was that John O'Keefe's niece was good friends with Jennifer McCabe's daughter. Trooper Proctor was allegedly told by Jennifer that she saw Reed enter the bar carrying a vodka soda drink in a glass, which most bars would not allow, and indicated that perhaps she was drunk. The three grown adults in their 40s left shortly after midnight to go to an after party at Brian Albert's house. According to Jennifer, she got there first. At 12:30, she says that she witnessed Karen Reed drive up on her black Lexus SUV. Since O'Keefe only knew McCabe at this house, he texted her to make sure that she was there. Jennifer claimed that John O'Keefe never entered the house, so she texted him hello at 12:45 before witnessing Karen drive away in her black SUV. We would later find out that most of that was a lie. She told Proctor that she assumed that he and Reed decided to go home. Jennifer received a phone call from a distraught Karen at 4:53 a.m. looking for O'Keefe. Jennifer, who for some reason was still up at 4:53 a.m. after a night of drinking, told Trooper Proctor that she offered to help Karen look for John O'Keefe along with O'Keefe's friend Kerry Roberts, who was not at the house that night. Karen was hysterical and could not drive in her condition, so Kerry drove both of them. Jennifer claims that during the ride, Karen said, quote, "Could I have hit him? Did I hit him?" She also told the state police that Karen's SUV had a cracked taillight. The two of them then jumped in Kerry Roberts' car and they drove back to 34 Fairview Road. When they got there, Karen immediately noticed O'Keefe's body outside, but the other two did not. This was part of the reason that Karen was charged. Trooper Proctor believed that Karen knew exactly where the body would be because she knew that she ran him over and left him to die during the middle of the snowstorm. We later recreated this scene at 34 Fairview Road. John O'Keefe was 6'2", 217 pounds. His body was found exactly 12 feet from the curb. There are no obstructions blocking anyone from seeing him. It would have been physically impossible for Carrie Roberts and Jennifer McCabe not to have seen his body because they were sitting in the front. They were also specifically looking for a body at that time. And somehow they claim that they did not see him, but Karen Reed did, and this ended up implicating her. O'Keefe's arm had 6 bloodied lacerations and his eyes were swollen shut in black and blue. His eyelid had a cut on it and his clothes were covered in blood and vomit. A medical examiner said that he had 2 swollen black eyes, a cut on the left side of his nose, a 2-inch laceration in the back of his head, and multiple skull fractures. There is no possible way that he could have these kinds of injuries from being backed into by his girlfriend's car, especially since the snow and grass would have comforted his fall. Carrie Roberts told Trooper Proctor that Karen Reed was drunk and hysterical when she saw her at 5 a.m. and stated that she was so drunk she didn't even remember going there. Carrie repeated the same story as Jennifer, that Karen made statements suggesting that she may have accidentally hit him or that he had gotten hit by a plow. At 4:30 p.m., Trooper Proctor claimed that he went to the home of Karen Reed's parents in Dighton and
Okay, guys, stand by a second. Hi, Amber. I'm going to let Amber introduce herself. I'm going to get our next video prepped.
Hi, everybody. I am so sorry I am late. It's been quite a week. Thank God it's Friday, or I'm going to call it Friday. I am so excited for the Karen Reed breakdown. I've been wanting to do this forever, so thank you, Kat. And you picked a good one to start. So that's how I met Kat. We did the standout here in Madison, Wisconsin. And then we met Annette, and it's just kind of clicked. We've known each other forever. So
Absolutely.
I'm happy to be here. Thank you for having me. And I'm just getting set up and in chat with everybody.
Awesome. Yes, the 3 Lady Musketeers. So speaking of the standout that Amber and I did together at Madison, that was when we first met. We were both in a Facebook group, and I go back and forth all the time. Everybody who's gotten to know me knows that everybody always asks me, where are you? Because I don't have a set schedule. When I need to see my mom, I'm out of here. And when I want to see my younger son, my sister, my friends, I just go. And when I'm ready to come back to the ocean and my older son and my grandpuppy, I come back. So I'm just constantly in flow. That's one of the blessings of being retired early. Not that I want this neck injury to be retired early, but if I have to have a blessing out of it, that's it, that I can be 61 and just come back and forth from my 2 favorite happy spots. So while I was in my happy spot in Madison, I met Amber, we did the standout, and then we made these flyers. And this was thank you to, and I wish I would have looked up her name, Amber. I'm so irritated. She sent me this. A wonderful lady on the Free Karen Reed, from the Free Karen Reed movement, sent me this flyer. I emailed it to me, and then I took it to a print shop in Madison, and we made 100 copies. And Amber and I handed these out in downtown Madison by the Capitol and down on campus by University of Wisconsin. So I have extras. I think I have about 20, and I'm going to take these with me when I do the standout on Sunday here in Daytona Beach. I'm going to go over by the beach for a while, and then I'm going to go down in the little downtown area of Daytona Beach, and then north, closer to my house by Ormond Beach. I'm going to go in the little downtown area there and hand these out, because these are so great, because they have the QR code for the framed video that we are watching, that because we needed to go back in time a little bit and get a feel for that morning. So thanks for reminding me to talk about that flyer, Amber. So I'm going to try my best to keep up in the chat box, guys, the best I can. Yes, Sherry D, that's a story for another day. I was hurt in the line of duty, and it was not good, but I am alive. So that's what matters the most. So and the bad guy went to jail. So there you have it. But I'll tell you about it sometime. Well, I have some interesting stories actually surrounding all that, because there's many people that I know, officers that have been hurt in the line of duty, and you're not always treated very, very nicely after that happens. And I have a lot of other officers that might be willing to come on and do a live stream with me and talk about what happens to you, how you're suddenly not, you're person non grata. They don't want you anymore. They want you to leave. They want you to retire. They don't want you to go through work hardening. They don't want you back. But I did go back, and I took the harassment. So I may live about that sometime. We'll see. It's a lot. So I don't know if you all want to be put through that or not. All right, next video. Let's go. I'm glad you guys can hear this because we're going to dig right into it. So let's go back in time again. And let's do, I think what I'll do first is show you guys the news clip, because I think that's kind of, it kind of brings it full center. And then we'll go over her testimony with Lally, which obviously he treated her with very kid gloves. And then we'll go over Action Jackson and Leonetti. I completely forgot how amazing these guys are. I haven't watched any of the trial recently or looked at the witnesses until I started prepping for this. And I just forgot how, I mean, my gosh, they're just so natural, how they can do that on this, on the fly like that and respond to these witnesses being downright evasive and nasty and sometimes just cranky with them. It's really quite something. So regardless of if you think Karen hit John with the car or not, which most of us in this room tonight do not, you cannot say that these attorneys aren't stellar. They just really, truly are. So let me pull this one up for you. It'll just take me a second to add it to the platform here. So stand by, and then I'll keep putting up your comments, questions, anything that you want to say once we get into kind of picking apart her testimony. So let me get back up to my screen share, and I will put on this clip from, I want to show you, let's see here. I have them all up in the tab, but I'm still new at getting them to transfer down into our room.
Kat, you're getting really good at this.
Well, it's a lot of work. Learning StreamYard is not super easy. It's very user friendly, though. I have to say, I'm really enjoying it, and I've enjoyed my time learning and trying to be better at it and give you better videos and better backgrounds. This is an old picture, by the way, of the Dedham Commonwealth Courthouse from there's a horse in front, so it's got to, and the outfits they have on are older, so it's got to be from like the early 1920s maybe. I thought that is really cool. We're going to use that tonight for the background, so I'm getting better at figuring all that out too. So okay,
That's
here,
awesome.
let me know. Oh wait, never mind, that's not the one I want. Got to go back. I don't want that one. I want a different one. I have so many tabs open, and two of them almost say the same thing, so it gets a little confusing. Now, let me know if you can hear this, guys. Let me go back. Thanks for your patience, because I am new at sharing all of these videos, so I'm getting there. Okay, this should be it, and let me know if you can hear it, Annette.
Ms. McLaughlin, I asked you before we broke if you know who Caitlin.
Oh, sorry, that's Jackson's. We don't want that one. It's weird because they're all labeled day 3, and the one that I want to show you is for some reason not letting me click on it. So I'm going to try it one more time and see if I can do it. I don't know why it's not allowing me to do it. Let me know if you can hear this. Can you hear that?
No, I don't hear it yet.
Can't hear it. Yeah, this one might be blocking us for some reason. So I'll try it one more time, and then we'll have to give up. It was just a really good news clip that I found that helps us go back in time and just feel like we're there again when we first, started following this case. So I was hoping I could play it for you, but I'm having trouble finding it. I don't know why.
So what in this whole thing with Miss McLaughlin was the trigger for you to say, I don't think I believe her?
Actually, right out of the gate for her, she had, you can usually tell when someone has an attitude, and she really had an attitude right out of the gate, not with the prosecution, obviously, not with Lally. So it wasn't then. I mean, I already felt kind of strange about her, though, just by the way he was asking her the questions and the way she was answering them. And then when Jackson got a hold of her, it was really like, whoa, what's going on with her? She is really, I thought at first I wanted to give her the benefit of the doubt and think that she was extremely nervous, that she hadn't testified maybe in court too many times as a paramedic. I was really trying hard to just give her the benefit of the doubt, but the more evasive she became, and we're going to watch that soon, it was harder and harder. So, okay, this is my last chance.
On Canton Confidential.
Can you hear that?
Okay, 1 moment.
A frantic 911 call.
It was a chaotic scene. People just kind of walking in and out.
And evidence called into question.
We decided on finding some type of temporary plastic evidence container.
As new light is shed on old relationships.
It's very clear to us that Katie McLaughlin perjured herself.
We are bringing you all the headlines from day 5 of testimony. Canton Confidential, the Karen Reed murder trial, starts right now.
We've entered the second week of testimony. Good evening. I'm Glenn Jones.
I'm JC Monahan. Reed, of course, accused of hitting her Boston police officer boyfriend, John O'Keefe, with her SUV and leaving him to die in a blizzard in 2022. On the stand today were 2 more Canton police officers. But before we talk about today's testimony, let's quickly recap what happened last week. We had 4 days of testimony. We heard from a dozen witnesses, John O'Keefe's brother and his sister-in-law. They were the first to testify. They shared details of O'Keefe's life and his relationship with Reed. We learned O'Keefe and Reed had reconnected at the beginning of COVID after dating briefly back in 2004.
On Friday, jurors stepped outside the courtroom and visited 2 sites in Canton. One of the bars where O'Keefe and Reed visited the night before his death, and the front yard where his body was found. The jury also getting a close-up look at Karen Reed's vehicle when it was brought back to Fairview. Reed confirmed to us the vehicle is in fact hers.
We also heard from first responders who gave accounts of what happened when they arrived at Fairview Road and what records were kept, though their accounts of exactly what Karen Reed said in those moments were slightly different.
And that leads us to Katie McLaughlin of Canton Fire. She was one of the first responders on scene and claimed Karen Reed admitted to the killing while at the scene. But the defense at the start of court today accused her of perjury, given her relationship and friendship with Caitlin Albert. Albert's parents owned the home where O'Keefe's body was found. McLaughlin said she and Caitlin were only acquaintances and not good friends, but the defense challenged that, showing McLaughlin images of her and Caitlin together. More details came to light today.
Katie McLaughlin and Caitlin Albert are standing next to each other in a photo at a baby shower in June of 2021, about 8 months before John O'Keefe's death. It's very clear to us that Katie McLaughlin perjured herself.
Now, it's really important to note here, the jury hasn't seen these images because they haven't been admitted as evidence. The defense has asked the judge to rule on whether they'll be allowed. Judge Canoni has not ruled on that yet. We have a lot still to unpack. Our Kirsten Glavin has been following every moment of this trial.
She joins us live out.
I just don't understand. Somebody brought up the footprints that are in the snow. Like they didn't preserve the scene at best.
Well,
I'm saying there, what could that have been? You know, they had the snow blower, the leaf blower, and there's footprints all around the scene, but even going towards the back fence. Isn't it supposed to, when you're an officer or a former officer, Kat, isn't it supposed to be a scene that's secured? You know, you have nobody's supposed to come in or come out if they're not signing in or signing out. You don't want to contaminate the scene at all. This is a murder. They knew it was a murder.
This is common sense, Amber. You don't have to be a current police officer or a retired one like me to understand that when there is a crime, whether it's a murder or an injury or a break-in or any crime that's been committed that has a statutory penalty for, you have to secure the scene. How are you supposed to investigate it and find out if you have any evidence, whether it be something they dropped? I mean, think about how many cases have been solved now by DNA because of a cigarette butt, where the criminal was smoking because he's a stupid dumbass. Sorry, YouTube. There might be some swear words tonight, YouTube. I can't always promise anything. Sorry, Mom. Yeah, I mean, criminals aren't always the smartest bulbs in the box, guys. So, they are so egocentric about what they want to do. And so there could be a piece of gum, there could be a cigarette butt, there could be a piece of scrap of paper, there could be anything. Footprints, obviously, the obvious one, fingerprints.
There could be 40 some pieces of taillight,
Well, yeah, let's not forget that. But yes, so number one, guys, right out of the gate, when I found out about this case, I was appalled at the scene, the unsecured gate. And I called some of my old supervisors from my police department and said, hey, have you heard about this case? John O'Keefe. Oh, yeah. I mean, a lot of police officers, they find out when other police officers have been killed, especially in the line of duty. But even in this case, you just find out, you hear about it. One cop hears it, the other cop tells you, or, you may be. A lot of police officers meet at conferences, and I met officers from all over the country at conferences, especially when I was doing community officer work, and you get to know each other. So you tend to follow the news from the cities where you have friends that you met that are officers. I had 2 friends from NYC that I knew very well that I was just scared to death for on 9/11 because I had met them at a conference 2 years prior. So, you're going to pay attention. So I paid attention to this case, number one, because it was a police officer. That's why, because I'm like, oh, shoot, a police officer got killed off duty. So, but I called a lot of my former coworkers, and I ran into one maybe like 4 months ago when I was back home, and I asked him about this case, and he said, oh, absolutely. He said, I've never seen anything like it. It's the worst scene preservation I think I could have ever laid eyes on. And them blaming the snow and the cold is ludicrous, because it's always snow and cold there. It's snow and cold in half the country, half the year. So we're just supposed to let criminals get away with murder and crimes because it's snowing? I don't think so.
Do you remember when Gallagher was on the stand and he said, I think he testified to something, and correct me if I'm wrong, it might have been Lanker, that they had never had a crime scene in the snow. And outside of Boston, Massachusetts, in 30-year career, you're telling me you've never had a crime scene in the snow? Yeah, I don't buy it.
Unbelievable.
I wanted to add something onto what Amber was saying. She was saying about the footprints and everything. I have said, because I watched this as a juror, I didn't have any background. And I'm thinking, okay, you don't have to be an Einstein to take a rake or a broom and remove footprints from where you've been. Any officer should have known that could have been done.
Yeah, they didn't want it. They didn't want to know. I mean, everybody's, this case has been diagnosed and dissected and live streamed about for months and months and months and months. But I really, truly believe that whatever phone calls were being made in the middle of the night were the orchestration of this entire situation. And I think Karen Reed just fell into their lap. I don't personally believe they were going to frame her. I don't think they were going to do that at all. I think
it was going to be lucky.
Yeah. I think his death happened organically. Yeah, I think it was an accident. I don't think they meant for him to be killed. I think it was they either got in a fight or they were pushing and shoving each other and he fell backwards down the stairs possibly. I don't know. There's a lot of things you could surmise about this, but him getting hit by that car just does not add up. And it's mostly because of the testimony. So we're about to watch a little bit of her testimony with Lally, because each witness, if you go back, and I know most of you in this chat box, probably all of you have gone back and watched some of the key witnesses, right? There's no reason for innocent people who don't have anything to do with any kind of a frame up or crime or corruption. They don't ever have to lie, right? So you always tell the truth, and especially when you're under oath. If you are needing to be evasive or downright actually lie and act out on the stand, that is not a good sign. Okay, that's the number one bad sign if you're just watching a trial and you've got these very combative witnesses who are, and I don't even like to call them witnesses because nobody saw it. Nobody saw John O'Keefe get killed but John O'Keefe and whoever killed him. That's it. They're the only ones that know what really happened to John O'Keefe. So they're not really witnesses. You better give them another name, because they were all in the house. They didn't see anything, as they swore to, under oath. They didn't leave the house. I mean, Brian Albert didn't even get out of bed. He was so tired from drinking. He slept right through all the squad cars and ambulances and fire trucks. And
so did Chloe.
and the dog and his
Slept right
wife.
through
They
it.
all just crashed right out and slept through all that. So they weren't witness to anything. And the other party goers, they didn't witness anything. They didn't see John get hit by Karen. Nobody saw John get hit by Karen. And miraculously, we don't even have any doorbell videos from a very exclusive, somewhat upper class neighborhood where there were doorbell cameras around, right? So we don't have that component. We don't have that component either.
Brian Albert had a doorbell camera, but he claimed it wasn't installed. And I find that very hard to believe that a relatively known officer and has his door unlocked, has no cameras. I just don't buy it. I don't buy it. Like some of it, I said two things that I know for sure. Okay. I know that there's reasonable doubt. There is so much reasonable doubt that even if you think that in some odd, weird way it's possible and a pirouette happened, stranger things have happened. But the way our justice system is designed is it's supposed to be reasonable doubt to a moral certitude or something like that in Massachusetts.
Well, only in Massachusetts, right? Because a lot of states don't have that extra caveat, Amber, which even makes it more that you need to have. Yes, good point, Amber.
Yeah. So, and then the other thing I know is that people lied. I can tell you that I watched people on the stand and they were not telling the truth. Now, what they weren't telling the truth about and exactly what happened is only speculation at this point. But those two things I know for sure. I can honestly conclude after watching pretrial motions and watching every minute of testimony, no matter what, if you believe in our justice system, there's reasonable doubt.
Jen McCabe actually stated in one of her statements that she watched Karen, she saw Karen pull away and leave.
Yes, she did. And she absolutely did. And her text messaging constantly, where are you? Are you coming in? What? None of this, the 1 and 1 plus 2 is not adding up for most of this entire trial with most of the witnesses. And as we go through them in the next few months on Friday nights, it's just going to be more and more clear how many people were evasive or downright lied. And it's been proven that they lied. So it's not even our opinion anymore. Some of these lies have been proven. And this is one of them. So Katie, my dear, you were incredibly evasive. And then, Mr. Attorney Yannetti basically said to you, why did you lie? Because he accused her of lying because basically she did lie. Was she evasive? Absolutely. We're going to hear that when we watch a little bit of the clips. But this is her with Caitlin Albert, and the other picture is her with Caitlin Albert, and they have other pictures of her with Caitlin Albert. So how can you get on the stand and say, oh yeah, I went to high school with her?
No, she doesn't even say that. She said, I knew a girl named Caitlin Albert in high school. She didn't even associate herself as a friend in high school.
Right.
I thought she actually said, I went to high school with a girl named Caitlin Albert.
That might be the verbiage. That might be the correct verbiage.
I think that was exactly what she said. I went to high school. I think, I went to a high school. I went to high school with the girl. I mean, that's what you would say if you barely knew someone and your school had, like my class at Madison East had 430 people. And I obviously didn't know everyone well. I was in a lot of different things. So I knew a lot of people, but not well. So that's something you would say. And that's when I really started to get tweaked with her, because I'm like, oh no, that can't be right.
Sherry, you may be right. She may have said, I knew of. She may have said that.
Yeah, we may find out, because I have a lot of clips that we can watch as much as you want. We don't have to watch a lot because you've all seen it, but we can watch a little to refresh our own memories and then talk about it.
Let's do it. Let's watch some clips.
Can I add one more quick thing? And
no, you can add anything you want, Amber. It doesn't have to be quick. You can add.
You were talking about Jen McCabe said this, or this witness said that. One of the bigger problems that we have is that the police do not have body cameras. Their witness statements aren't signed and reviewed by the witness. People were not interviewed separately. So you add all of that in on top of it.
And they weren't recorded.
Right, not recorded, nothing. I've never seen that before in my life. I'm like, what are we in 1920?
Right.
The least you could have done is have them sign the witness statement, attesting to that those were their words.
Preach, girl, preach.
Sorry.
Yes, absolutely. So let me know that you can hear it, and then I'll come back into the room. I'm not in the room now. I'm in a different tab, but so I can't tell if you can hear it. So somebody just say I can hear it.
Mr. Lally, whenever you're ready.
I can hear it.
Yeah.
Mr.
Oh, I
Lally,
haven't.
whenever you're ready.
When I had to rewatch this today, just hearing Bev's voice again made me cringe. I'm like, guys, I'm still taking Tylenol and anti-inflammatory for my knee, so I'm not having any wine. And I don't drink a lot anyway. But if there's any night I wanted to have a glass of wine, it's this one, because that woman just gets on my last nerve.
Okay, wait, I've seen this, so I'm going to listen in my ear while I go get a Wisconsin beer.
There you
I
have
don't
it.
drink very much, but it's been a long week. So doesn't
Yes,
that
it's a
sound
Friday
fun? It's
night.
a Friday night.
Anybody who drinks responsibly and isn't driving, please have a drink. And I'm not a big drinker, but I enjoy a drink here and there. I'm mostly a frou-frou drinker. I like my pina coladas down here at my Florida tiki bars. I do like my Wisconsin cider beer. I like that, but I mostly like a nice glass of wine. So, all right, you guys get whatever it is you're having to drink, and let's sadly listen to Lally and tons of Bev with attitude already on day 3. I forgot how early she came with the attitude, guys.
Before I begin, may I just approach the witness to return Exhibit 1?
Sure.
Good morning, sir. Good morning.
Oh, let me forward this. Sorry, guys. Hang on. We're going to watch this in a little bit. Let me go.
Now, Firefighter.
We're going to come back to him because he was interesting. He was very subdued. He almost looked sad most of the time. One of our followers asked me to talk about him because his testimony is relevant with Katie's. So we will talk about him. We'll talk about him next, actually. Let me go find... We want to do a little bit of Katie with Lally before we get to, these two guys took up most of day 3. Katie came on very much at the end of day 3. That's why she was so much on day 4.
Continuing education classes in that 2-year period. And that's just on a 2-year cycle you recertify.
And your certification is up to date at this point, is that correct?
Yes.
Ma'am, if I could turn your attention to the dates of January 28, 2022 into January 29, 2022. Do you recall those dates?
Yes.
And were you working with the Canton Fire Department on those dates?
Yes.
Do you recall what kind of shift you were working from the 28th to the 29th?
It was just my regular 24-hour shift.
And 24-hour shift in Canton Fire is essentially 8 a.m. to 8 a.m., is that correct?
Correct.
And where were you sort of assigned within the town of Canton Fire Department on that day?
So I was on the engine for that shift. So I was the 3rd person on the engine. There's an engine driver, there's an officer, and then there's a 3rd person who's in the back.
And so your sort of role with respect to the engine, is there sort of like a name for that position?
Some people call it like the back step. Yeah.
And which station house were you assigned to on that engine 3 day?
The station 1, which is 99 Revere Street.
And in addition to yourself, who, if anyone else, was assigned to the other sort of 2 roles on the engine that day?
Frank Walsh was the engine driver that day, and Greg Woodbury was the lieutenant on the engine that day.
Now, turning your attention to that morning of the 29th, do you recall about what time you got up or what time you went outside that day?
I think we were up maybe a little before 6 because it was snowing, and we had to like shovel the front apron. So we were up maybe 5 a.m.
And so when you were up around that time,
I get a
5
mark on
a.m.
my bingo
outside,
card.
you were outside shoveling, is that correct?
Yep. Intermittently.
Sorry?
Intermittently, yeah.
So during the times that you were outside shoveling, what, if anything, did you observe as far as the weather or the conditions at that point?
It was snowing pretty heavily. It had been snowing. We were shoveling, and it was pretty cold and windy.
And if you know around that time that you initially sort of went out and were shoveling, about how much snow had accumulated at that point?
I don't know how much. I mean, enough for us to shovel that front apron, but I don't know how much.
Sometime shortly after 6 a.m., were you and other members of your department dispatched to a call?
Yes.
And where were you dispatched to, and what was that dispatch in regard to?
So the call came in as a man down in the snow or a man unresponsive in the snow, and the call was 434 Fairview Road.
And about how long was it from the time that you sort of received that dispatch and go sort of on the engine to that residence on Fairview Road?
How long?
Yes.
We're on the truck and going probably within a few minutes at most.
And so in addition to yourself and Firefighter Walsh and Lieutenant Woodbury, what, if any, other sort of apparatus from your station was dispatched and was called for?
The ambulance was dispatched as well, and I believe the command car 5, also was dispatched to the call.
And as far as car 5, if you recall, who was in car 5?
At the time, Captain Robery.
And with respect to the ambulance, if you know who, if anyone, was assigned to the ambulance and went with the ambulance that day?
Firefighter Kelly and Firefighter Flamati were on that ambulance. And I believe Tim Nuttall was also there. He came in early, and so he jumped on the ambulance as well.
And with respect to when you get to Fairview Road, do you recall what sort of order the vehicles were in as far as car 5, the ambulance, and the fire engine?
I think car 5 was maybe first, and then the ambulance was in front of us, and then we pulled up behind the ambulance.
And so when you sort of arrive on scene, pull up behind the ambulance, other than vehicles from your department, what, if any, other sort of vehicles did you observe or see on scene that day?
I noticed there were multiple police vehicles and at least one civilian vehicle.
Now, obviously, you're responding to a report of an unresponsive male, party, correct?
Yes.
And when you're sort of first arriving on scene, or just in reference to when you arrived on scene, when was the first time that you were able to see that unresponsive party?
So when I got out of the engine, I went right back to the ambulance to get the stretcher because I knew that from wherever they were, they seemed to be kind of off of the road. So I got the stretcher with Firefighter Walsh, I believe, and then we brought the stretcher as close as we could to the patient, and that was like parallel to the curb, and that would be the first time that I observed them working on a patient.
And so if I could just ask you, just with regard to sort of those duties as the backstep person, so what is sort of the duties and responsibilities of the backstep person on the engine to this kind of medical role?
So the role of the person in the back of the engine is it kind of is dependent upon what that lead paramedic needs you to do. You're there to assist the ambulance in any way that they need. So that could be assisting with extrication of a patient. It could be obtaining information about a patient or bystanders. It could be assisting with patient care if they need you in the back of the ambulance. It really depends on what they need you to do for that particular call.
And turning back to your testimony just from a moment ago, you said they were over rendering sort of patient care. Is that correct?
Yes.
What do you mean by that?
I noted Tim, I noted Tony, and there were there were a lot of people that seemed to be around that area, so I'm not sure exactly who else was there, but I did note Tony and Tim were in that area.
So as far as sort of the other people in that area where Tony and Tim were, so people sort of beyond people from your department, what, if any, other sort of people did you notice around that area?
I don't know specifically. What do you mean, like
as far as
outside of the
right, so outside of fire department personnel in that area, what, if any, observations did you make of those people? Who were those people, if you know?
well, at that point I couldn't really make out like the identities of like other people. I noted Tim and Tony, but I didn't really pick up on who anyone else was at that point.
So
they were still like in off of the road at that point.
And so from where they're positioned with regard to the patient, and just for clarity purposes, you were subsequently learned the identity of the patient, correct?
Yes.
And who did you learn him?
John O'Keefe.
And where you and firefighter Walsh were with the stretcher, how far away from where you were was Mr. O'Keefe and the other firefighters?
They were, I don't know that I could give a number, several feet away. They were like, I remember kind of seeing a fire hydrant, but I don't know exactly number wise what that would be.
And from your observation of where Mr. O'Keefe was, could you tell how his body was positioned?
He was supine, so he was lying on his back or face up.
And what, if anything, by the time that you arrived with firefighter Walsh on the stretcher, what, if anything, could you see that firefighters Flamati and or Nuttall or anyone else was doing with reference to Mr. O'Keefe?
By that point, it seemed like they had already got him pretty much secured on a backboard, and they were ready to move him to the stretcher.
And once Mr. O'Keefe is then moved with the backboard from where he was to the stretcher where you are, what happened then?
So I remember Tony was kind of at the head of the stretcher. I was standing on the side. There was a woman next to me, and Tony said to me, "Can you try to figure out what happened?" And he kind of motioned to this woman that was next to me.
And so firefighter Flamati, who's the lead paramedic, directs you to ask some questions of this female, correct?
Yes.
And it's fair to say this woman that was next to you, you didn't know her, you never met her before?
No.
From your conversations with her that day, do you see that woman in the courtroom today?
Yes.
Can you just direct us to where she's seated or an article of clothing she's wearing? That's record to reflect identification of the defendant by the witness.
Okay.
Now, with respect to this woman, she's standing next to you when you're at the side of the stretcher, correct?
Yes.
And what, if any, observations did you sort of initially make as far as her demeanor, or how was she sort of acting when you first started to engage her?
She seemed very upset. Very upset.
And when you say she seemed very upset, what about her did you observe that makes you say that?
Just her facial expressions. She was just visibly distraught.
And so as far as your questions, what type of questions are you asking, or what type of information are you looking for from this person?
So just basic demographic info, who the patient is, his name, his date of birth. And then as far as any more questioning, you're trying to gather information that would basically help explain how this person ended up in the scenario that they're in. So did he have any medical problems? Does he take any medications daily? Does he have any allergies to medications? I was asking those questions.
And as you're asking those questions, what, if anything, is the defendant, Ms. Reed, doing while you're asking her those questions?
She answered who the patient was, his birthday. I think she answered the maybe some of those initial medical questions that I asked. But as I said, she's very distraught. She was kind of moving around the scene a little bit, so I was just kind of following her, and then we came to a stop at one point, and I continued to ask I asked one more question.
What was that one more question?
So at that point, I asked her if there had been any significant trauma that happened before this.
What, if anything, did she say?
So she said, I hit him. She repeated it. There was a woman standing across from her who I believe at that point said, you're hysterical. You need to calm down. You're hysterical. She repeated, I hit him. And there was a police officer who was in that vicinity kind of with us who replied, you what? She repeated it one more time. And that officer then signaled to somebody, get Goody down here, which I'm assuming would be the sergeant.
Pause. We gotta talk. Kat, can you pause? Maybe not. Let's go. Oh, thank you. I needed to talk about that. I mean, that was a good stopping point because.
Oh yeah, I was literally just about to stop it. I had to get up and stretch my knee, and I thought, you know what, this is a good stopping point. Let's just go over everything that just happened, because now we're about to get into the really good stuff when it goes over to the defense.
Well, the first thing I thought of is everybody is saying, "Oh, it's so windy, I couldn't hear. There's so much snow. It's a bad storm." But then she's saying, "I clearly heard him say I hit him." And I'm like, well, did you miss the first word? Did she say, did I hit him? How did she say it? What was the inflection? That's so important, how somebody can interpret the exact same thing. So I know everybody says, and that was Lally's big closing was, I hit him, which it really wasn't 4 times. It was 3, according to Jen McCabe. But even if it wasn't a question, which I don't believe. I think it was a question. And even if she said, I hit him, that can be a question. You hear how that inflection at the back of my question was I hit him? That's an important thing to say. And I'm not hearing any of that from these witnesses. They're not telling what the inflection was. They're like, she said, I hit him. She said, I hit him. I hit him. The only time that I ever saw inflection was Jen McCabe when she's like, Jen. I mean, other than that, where did you see any inflection? Like, it's just, to me, it just doesn't make sense. It's not adding up. The last thing I want to say about that is, let's just say she did say I hit him. Like, I must have hit him. I hit him. Whatever. People get confused. People say things all the time. If you're in that state of shock, that would be the worst case scenario. I don't believe that's the truth, though.
Good points, Amber. Definitely very good points. And I actually was on so I'm going to let Annette tell you guys a little bit about a text thread that her and I have been on for like 4 days. I have no clue how we got on it, Annette. Maybe you will remember, but let me read you guys. Let me go to my Google Doc here where I took notes for this tonight so I can tell you. So something that you just said that I thought of because I said this in my quote tweet to these 2 ladies that we were debating for the past, I think 3 days, right, Annette? So I said, could I have hit him? Did I hit him? In a moment of confusion and distress, I can guarantee you guys, because I've worked with enough victims and enough cases, and then when I became a social worker in domestic violence shelters, I can guarantee you that when people are in trauma and stress, it's almost as if your brain feels like you're in quicksand. and you're not thinking right. You're just not. And you may say something or ask questions that make no sense to anyone else when you're in that heated moment of trauma and stress. So
like the blood. Remember,
right.
she said, and that's true, and she has admitted that, and they've all testified to that she said, oh, the blood, I have my period. Like, that doesn't make any sense. So she's in a state of trauma.
If that was
at
even
moment.
said, we don't know what we can believe with Jen McCabe.
My understanding from Turtle Boy is that directly from Karen, she said that was true.
Oh, okay.
That
All right.
she did say.
Well,
but I'm saying that actually supports her confusion.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. You're right. What I ended up saying to this lady, then the rest of my tweet was, I just said, could I have hit him? Did I hit him? In a moment of confusion and distress, trauma can get translated. And in this case, what she said was translated by Jen McCabe, but not until almost a year later, and never in the grand jury. It suddenly, could I have hit him? Did I hit him? Got translated to I hit him by Jen McCabe. And again, not in the grand jury did she ever once say that. So that's really, really the crux of the suspect of Jen and her lies.
But somehow they got Katie in on this. And, the next day, didn't they call her, and Kevin Albert arranged for her to come in and give a statement?
Mm-hmm.
But nobody else says it. She claims that Jen was right there, and in all of her statements, every police report, those words aren't there. It's always phrased as a question. Somehow it evolved into potentially.
Well, why wasn't it in the report, Amber? These are professional firefighters and professional paramedics. They have to write reports. This was a this turned into a death investigation. Are you going to tell me that if I arrived on a scene and a paramedic comes up to me and says, yeah, that woman over there just said that she hit him, that's what would happen? There's no way they wouldn't have not told the police officers on the scene that one of the witnesses, who was running around in a panic and crying and screaming, said that. She would have said it. She would have written it down. She would have put in her report. That's your first big red flag. Big red flag.
Absolutely.
Think about that, ladies and gentlemen who are chatting with us in this lovely chat box that YouTube provides us, StreamYard provides us.
And we've actually had some really good discussions on X lately with people that are on the other side.
Yeah.
I thought were respectful, and we were able to go back and forth. One person brought up the fact that Hank Brennan said that he was going to be talking to the U.S. Attorney's Office and was waiting for a call back. And they're like, what is that telling you? They're thinking that's in favor of the Commonwealth. We actually go back and listen to it. It's what he's saying is he's going to put in a motion to try to disqualify the ARCA experts, our crash daddies, due to Rule 14. And he put a call into them, and he was waiting one back because he needs more information for that motion. So it wasn't, sometimes we interpret things incorrectly, but we can have a conversation so we all learn and understand better. I think Annette said she's on backstage. I think she got booted somehow.
Yeah, I'm bringing her back up right now. I just wanted to say one quick thing. I wanted to read a couple of the people. Everybody's having good conversation, and I've been putting up your chats while we've been watching the video, but I just want to point out, Cherry D said, thanks, Lally. Use first names, then use last names. Way to confuse. Good, very good observation. I was smiling and chuckling today when I was rewatching these and having to listen to Lally say, what if any, or who if any, or what, just the good old repetition of I guess he must have picked that up in law school. So Julie said, what did you have to say there, Julie? Yeah, that morning around 5 to 6 a.m., the snow was coming down about an inch an hour. It picked up right as Karen went out to search. Okay. Yep. That's pretty much what they've been saying. Go ahead, Annette.
I caught a couple things. I actually did a research, and at the time that John was found, there was 3 inches or less on the ground. The second thing I caught, and I never caught it before we re-listened to it, is she said, she started walking around and I followed her.
Oh, that's what Katie McLaughlin said?
Yeah. She said she started walking around and I followed her.
Yeah, I just heard that too for the first time. I don't remember that from the last time.
Okay,
that's weird.
Advocate. Maybe she was following her around to get the answers. So Karen's frantic. She's going from the body back to the car, and she's trying to ask her these questions.
Okay. But if you're hearing what you say you heard and you're
Mhm.
following this person,
Right.
Mhm.
Putting the two together doesn't
and
make
she
sense. You don't.
says that, and she said an officer heard her say it.
Who didn't testify that he heard that, by the way. So maybe the
Right.
wind was really blowing and he couldn't hear.
Honey, I checked the wind conditions at that time of the morning. They were between 15 to 20 miles an hour. That's
This is why
not,
you're our researcher.
that is not severe winds where you
No.
cannot hear somebody.
It's also not
conditions-
severe winds where you won't wake up if you're somebody was tweeting with me a couple of days ago, coming at me saying, well, they were sleeping. Brian Albert had been drinking. So I texted her back, what's Nicole's excuse? What's the dog's excuse? It's a German Shepherd. My sister owned 2 of them. My sergeants and lieutenants who were canine. I've been around German Shepherds years and years and years. They are going to bark if there's a car, that many cars in the front yard of their house. They are going to bark. My Doberman today barked because a bin tipped over in my garage, just accidentally. It must have been teetering on another one. I just had some things delivered from Wisconsin, and he barked immediately. And it wasn't his happy, oh, my son, your son's home, Papa's home, or oh, you're home, or the neighbor kids are here in the yard. He never barks that way when the neighbor kids come in the yard. He knows their smell. It was a very dangerous bark, and he's the sweetest dog, but that's all it took. Just that little bin toppling over in my garage. I don't buy it. I will never buy it that Brian Albert was sleeping through all that. There is no way.
No.
Police officers do not sleep through things. Once you've been on duty and you've been in the line of duty, and everybody who's been an officer has a little bit of PTSD on board. You
Yes.
do not sleep through the night. I haven't slept through the night since I became an officer, ever.
Another
Never.
thing I noticed was when they were asking her questions about what was happening, a majority of the time she kept not looking up. She was looking down.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then when she got to the medical question, she would look up. She would not look at anybody. She was looking down.
Sherry D says that Seraph, that's the officer that said that we got to call Goody, allegedly, that he did testify that she said, I hit him. I don't recall that being in his report, and I don't recall him saying it. I recall him saying it was all,
I went
all
back.
her fault. But
If
I
you
don't
go
remember him
back
saying
and
that.
look at my ex and my TikToks, I went back and watched all of his testimony, and I took specific notes.
Right.
And he said that he got out of, he did not say that she ever said that.
Right. She said
And
it was
then-
all my fault or something along those lines,
Yes.
but not I hit him.
Right. And then
Well, we'll take a peek at
he
him one of
waited.
these nights.
And then he waited until he got in front of a grand jury and said something different.
Interesting. Well, we'll definitely take a look at him because he was, he played a big role in this. So one of these Fridays, we'll take a look at all of the officers, a little bit of their testimony, just kind of the key highlights. All right, let's finish off with Lally and Katie. I think they have about 5 minutes left.
I hate Lally.
So when you have this conversation, if you recall, you mentioned that the other person who was across from you was just, was that somebody from your department or an officer or a civilian, or who was that?
So I was standing, Karen Reed was to my right. There was another woman to the left of me, kind of across from her. And then there was a police officer kind of, not directly across from me, but within like.
Stand by, guys. It's not connecting for some reason. Let me try it again.
We can just listen to the audio. That'll work too.
Could you hear it?
Yes, I can hear it, but I wasn't seeing it. And I don't need to see, I just need to hear it.
Okay, I'm not sure why we lost the video, but yeah, they're almost done, and then we're going to go to the cross-examination.
But she's going to say it again, that she followed her.
Yeah.
Catch it. Now I'm not hearing it.
No.
And
There we go.
With respect to when Ms. Reed said this repeatedly, I hit it. Can you describe for the jury sort of the tonality of that? Like, how did she seem?
She was very, very upset. She seemed hysterical, I would even say. Just very upset.
She keeps looking down.
But once you received that information, did you follow up with any other questions to Ms. Reed at that point?
At that point, I did not. I have to drive the ambulance, so it's a time-sensitive situation. So I knew I had to drive the ambulance. It was said in the presence of the police officer, so I felt like that was the appropriate, that information was appropriately transferred, and I just felt based on her demeanor, I don't think it would have been productive for me to continue to ask her questions at that point.
And so after asking and receiving that answer of I hit him, where did you go?
So I went to the ambulance.
And in reference to the ambulance, did you go to the back of the ambulance, front of the ambulance? Where did you go?
So I went to the back of the ambulance where the patient care was happening.
And as far as the information that you had received from the defendant, did you relay that information to any of the other firefighters from your department in the back of the ambulance?
I did.
And you recall who was there in the back of the ambulance when you relayed that?
Tony was there, Tim, I think maybe.
I just want to say real quick, a couple people put up about, and I remember this too I remember this one that when we were watching it, and I thought it was really odd that they didn't hone in on that more, that
said she told Anthony.
Right. That. But what I'm also talking about is, was John O'Keefe laying face down and they flipped him, or was he laying on his back? Because I heard both things. I heard that Jen when said that they turned him over, but yet when we listened to Philip Filmati, I think that's his name, he says he was on his back. I think Puffy Coat Tim that you guys have been talking about in the chat said he was on his back. So what was he on his back or was he on his stomach? Because that's a big deal, right?
The difference in the testimonies are that Jen McCabe said that he was face down, and Carrie said, when they got to him, they were dusting the snow off of him. She never said that he was face down. Carrie never said that.
But Jen did.
Jen said it to the 911 caller.
And didn't Hank say that he was face down? That's what somebody up above said.
Yeah, I heard that when they were arguing motions recently, and I think it was in the Dr. Russell second
Sherry D.
webinar.
Sorry, Amber. Sherry D. Can you type in the chat box where you remember seeing this? Because Hank said face down during Dabo hearing with Dr. Russell. Oh, okay. So it just Hank is involved now in saying face down. So yeah, that's kind of interesting. So we'll keep an eye on that when we go back and watch some of the other, obviously when we watch Jen McCabe's testimony, that's going to take 2 days.
What Sherry's also pointing out is she just got done saying that she got in the ambulance and she relayed her information to Anthony, AKA Tony.
Ah, okay.
AKA Flamati. So we know, one name is Anthony, then it's Tony, then it's Flamati. Right. I'm not understanding what their strategy is for that.
They're connected.
But are they trying to make it sound like there's more people that heard it than like in that weird
I
don't
think they are. I think
we're going to listen to him next. So
I personally think that she's looking for backup in her testimony, and when he comes on, he's going to be her backup.
Interesting. Well, we're going to watch him next. Before we watch the defense, take her down a few pegs, we're going to watch him, because one of our Twitter chats that we were having, I promised Greg that we would show it. I don't know if Greg's in here tonight somewhere. If you're there, hi, Greg. Or if you watch us on replay, thank you for giving us that suggestion, because I would have just probably grouped him in with all the officers and just did a little bit of each officer testimony but this is more related to Katie. So this is turning out to be quite something. So let's see, here we go.
But
Sherry,
Kat.
Yeah. How did, I'm sorry, Amber, hang on a second. Sherry D is giving me a cat. I know that's important. How did Sergeant Goody arrive on the scene so fast? Goody was working dispatch.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, good point.
Very
he was ready
good
to go.
Yeah, very good, Sherry D. Yeah.
That's because Higgins was there and he was covering everything for Good to go out there.
Mm.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Yes. Everything we say is in our opinions. Everything that's in the chat box is in their opinions, based on the fact that all of us in this box tonight chatting, and all the subscribers that are coming in and out, watching live, and all you on replay, we have to remind you that this is our opinion, and it's based on us watching the trial and taking notes and getting into watching the trial every day for, all the entire, how many weeks? What was it? 8? It took up a lot. So, okay, let's watch the very end.
Wait, I just want to finish what I was going to say.
Yeah, you go ahead. I have to pull it back up. So you go ahead.
That's a very important point. I'm glad you said that. And people are allowed to have different opinions than
Yes,
us, and that's okay as well. We can have a conversation. But I wanted to point out that we keep finding little nuggets here and there, or something that we misremembered from the testimony. There's so much information from this case, but they don't have readbacks in Massachusetts.
No.
For other states, you can get readbacks, and if 2 juror members are not understanding something, they can get the testimony back in the court transcript. So this makes it so backwards in Massachusetts. I'm like, you're one of the earliest states, but you're so far behind.
I was so stunned, Amber, when I found out that they weren't getting. Then I'm like, what is the point of the court reporter? Why is she even there? Why is
appeals after they convict everybody? Because that's what they do. It's all rigged.
It's all for the appeal. Miss Court reporter's there for the appeal. But I find it utterly ludicrous that they expect 12 jurors to remember all that testimony. And I do think part of Lally's, plan was to bring in all those extra witnesses that didn't need to be part of the case. I mean, if you think about how many people we heard.
He watered it down so much that they couldn't pick out what was important anymore. And they were probably so bored out of their minds.
Yeah, it was too much. They need to look into that. You guys who live in Massachusetts, you've got to push. You got to lobby. You got to talk to your congressmen and your senators, and you've got to get that changed, because that's absolutely atrocious that they have to decide on someone's life. They have to decide if someone's going to go to prison for X amount of years. In some cases, 20, 30 years for this type of crime. How is it that you're not giving them permission to listen back to what they already heard, but they need to be reminded? It makes literally no sense.
Right.
Jerry D brought up a good point. They asked for the CERT report, which didn't exist.
I just put it up there for you, Nat. Yep, the jurors asked for the CERT report, which did not exist.
And here's my thing with that. If you're a good investigative system, you would never have called for CERT. There's search and rescue. You would have called for CSI.
That's right. Absolutely.
And they didn't call CSI because they didn't want them to come, and because CSI would have tented it, strapped it off. They would have brought heaters out. They would have melted all the snow. They would have dug for everything. They didn't want CSI there.
Yeah, there was absolutely made no sense to me when we watched the trial, or I might have found out about that before the trial. So much came out in the grand jury, but I'm like, what in the world? We're not search and rescuing for John. We already know he's dead. We're not search and rescuing for any other suspect that might be dead, or any other layman or, layperson, citizen that might be dead. Why are you bringing in search and rescue? I completely could not understand that at all. That had to be, like you said, it had to be part of now you can call us all conspiracy theorists, but it's common sense, guys. Why are you bringing in a search and rescue team when you don't have a search to conduct? They're not trained to look for evidence. They're not trained to look for clues. They're trained to look for bodies.
And Salty Sea Glass.
So cool. I love Salty Sea Glass.
Salty Sea Glass says, well, Judge Bev didn't tell them that they didn't actually have a cert report. And she just told them they had everything they needed. So as a juror, I would be incredibly frustrated when I'm asking for this cert report because
I thought they told them, Amber, that they couldn't have it. That I thought she said you point blank can't have it.
She may have said that, but I think to the actual jury, she said you have everything that you need. It was like very vague and like didn't tell them, because I think in a sense they'd say it would prejudice the Massachusetts if they said they didn't have one and they didn't do a report. But that's the truth. That's a fact. Why is that not allowed?
Right. It's just more. I think it was Julie, or it might have been Sherry. I have to go back up and find it. Somebody wrote, "Let the fuckery begin." in this trial.
JFK.
Yeah.
Fuckery Airlines.
All right. Let's watch the last part of this, and then we're going to take a little look at her crush. I guess apparently Anthony has a crush on her. Is that
Firefighter Kelly? Firefighter Walsh maybe might have been in there at that point.
Now, as far as when you get to the back of the ambulance, what, if anything, did you do with reference to assist or help as far as patient care with regard to Mr. O'Keefe?
I didn't assist or partake in any patient care.
Now, prior to putting Mr. O'Keefe into the back of the ambulance and prior to your conversation with the defendant, what, if any, observations had you made during the brief time that you were on the side of the stretcher of Mr. O'Keefe and any injuries you observed?
I noted he had injuries to his face. I noticed some blood from his nose, from his mouth, and most notably, he had some swelling to his eyes, mostly the right eye, and a laceration above the right eye.
And same as far as when you went to the back of the ambulance to relay the information that you have been asked to obtain. What, if any, injuries did you observe of Mr. O'Keefe once he was in the back?
Oh, I'm sorry. I observed those injuries in the back of the ambulance. I didn't observe those injuries while he was out on the stretcher. I didn't get a good look at him.
You really hadn't got a good look until you
Right.
went back.
Right.
Now, as far as you indicated, you drove the ambulance from Fairview. Where did you go to?
Good Samaritan Hospital.
And as you were driving that ambulance along the roads from Canton to Brockton, what, if anything, did you note as far as visibility, road conditions, things like that?
There was poor visibility. The roads weren't plowed yet, so it was
Oh my God, that's not true.
It was
not true.
Took probably longer than usual based on the.
Sorry. I'm outraged.
No, don't be sorry. First of all, before you get outraged, and I was playing to pause it as soon as she said that, because we know that's not true, because later, obviously, many, many days later, Lucky testified, and we'll be watching him later because we want to watch Lucky just because he makes us happy. He didn't lie, and we're not going to, but we're still going to include him on Friday Night Lives just because he makes us happy, and then just for a few minutes anyway. But I need to say hi to my sister-in-law who's in the chat tonight, my sister-in-law, Deborah Page. I believe that's you. If it's not you, then it's somebody who has the exact same name as my sister-in-law. So I'm curious, are you my sister-in-law, or are you someone who has the same exact name as my sister-in-law? So when I first saw the name come up, I'm like, what's happening? But she usually writes Deborah. So I'm not sure, but tell me if it's you, say hi. If it's not you, hi, then you have the same name as my.
Welcome.
I never say former and sister-in-law, even though I've been divorced from her brother for half my life. She's still my sister-in-law, will always be my sister, my soul sister. So if that's not her, I still want to say hey to her. She's out there in Arizona. So and if it's someone else, hi, you have the same name as my sister-in-law, and you spell your name Paige just the way I do. So I had to say that. Okay, Amber, go. Be enraged.
I wanted to say this too, but you could see in the dash camera video that there had already been a sweep.
It had been plowed.
You can tell it's higher on the outsides and the dunes. It is clear as day that there was enough snow that they did a plow, but then more snow came, so it was less snow on the road.
Right.
But it's clear as day. Like, they're telling us, don't believe your own eyes.
We could see the freaking curb.
Exactly.
Right.
Which
in
is
the pictures that were taken.
Hey, Annette, that brings up the whole, somebody had put in, I think it was Shauna D, about the shoe. Why wasn't the shoe found right away? There wasn't that much snow. Why did it take them all those days to find the shoe? And it was never talked about. So it started this conspiracy theory about that the shoe must have been in the house, which then made Free Karen Reed movement look bad, right? And it made everybody look bad that was saying, where's the shoe? Oh, I bet it's in the house. When if they knew all along.
Those came from police pictures. It did not come from anybody else. It came from police's pictures.
Right. So was that purposeful that they never released that they had? I mean, I was completely stunned when they pulled the shoe out of the evidence bag. I'm like, what? There's the shoe? What the hell? I'm curious, Chad, if any of you were also completely stunned by that. And there had to be some bizarre tactic involved in
the one thing I'm going to say about that, it proves what I said earlier, that there was not that much snowfall.
Right.
If there was, you would have seen in the pictures from the police cameras or the dash cams, whatever, that there were mounds of snow. There was There were no mounds of snow.
No, what really
there was some snow. I'll give them that
there was.
This was the very beginning of the major part of the storm. It was very light at like midnight. And then the storm came after they discovered John, or right at that time is when it was starting to pick up.
Agreed.
But it was not a blizzard between the hours of 12 a.m. and 5 a.m.
Nope.
No. And this just goes to show you, though, how there was coaching. Coaching was involved with these witnesses because she was coached to make sure she circled back to say, when he said, what were the road conditions? He was, she was coached. They put so much emphasis on the snow, but yet zero emphasis on frostbite. And we all know about frostbite, especially you, Annette, you were a nurse. So my guess is you treated frostbite because it's so common out east in the Midwest. Now you were in Illinois, right? Nursing most of the time?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So you know how bitter those Illinois winters are. They're just like Wisconsin's. And I had frostbite once on my feet when I was a kid because I was so sensitive to cold. So you're going to ask us to believe that John's body was laying out there on the ground from approximately 12:36 a.m. until approximately 5:55 a.m. And ME says no frostbite. That's impossible.
It wasn't just that. My huge thing was, the autopsy report said there was rigidity in the hands, which meant he had already been dead for several hours. In order for that rigidity to start setting in, he had to be dead. But the whole body wasn't going into
rigor mortis, right?
Yes.
So it was just the beginning stages of it, probably, and maybe the cold contributed to it. I don't know how that affects it, but it just doesn't quite make sense if he was out there. Where's the blood? Where is the blood? I don't care how much snow is there or the ground. There's gonna be blood from a head injury like that. It doesn't make any sense.
And you could have spiked into that ground and found blood if you wanted to.
If it's soaked in, yeah.
If you wanted to.
And they could have, listen, if they really think that Karen hit him with her car, okay, why did they not go the entire route that she would have been taking home and get cameras from every Ring doorbell that there was?
Right.
I don't understand. Like, it was like they knew it was open and shut. They already had their plan. And it was like, oh, we're going to make sure that she goes down. We're going to make sure it happens and nobody's going to question us because they never do. And we always get away with it.
Right. When a group of narcissistic men, mostly men in this case, that includes the Stoughton Police Department.
Oh, there's some women that are too, but
there's women in both those departments, but it's percentage wise men.
Hi, Helena Rafferty. How are you doing?
But yes, interestingly enough, a woman police chief and then another woman police chief in Stoughton, where the debacle and the travesty of Sandra Birchmore happened just down the road. But the actual officers, if you go look at the roll call of both those departments, you'll see that it's not 50-50. There's not half men, half women. There's very few police departments.
Oh, it's a good old boys club there.
I would challenge any of you to go find me a police department that's 50-50. If you find it, I'll be happy to say, great, I was wrong. But I don't know this. I haven't researched it. But in my years as a police officer, we weren't even close to 50-50. So yeah, okay, let's quickly finish this up so we can go to good old.
We can go all night.
Yeah,
we could do our own marathon.
This could be like back in the high school days when you had the dance marathon and you stayed up all night, 12 hours and danced to music. We could just watch
Karen Reed trial-a-thon.
A Karen Reed
There we go.
Everybody get your caffeine, get your pajamas on. All
Conditions.
And I apologize, but if I can take you just a step back further for a moment, just in reference to when you're in the back of the ambulance, you indicated the injuries that you observed. What, if any, observations did you make as far as the clothing that Mr. O'Keefe was wearing?
I noted that he was wearing jeans. I noticed a lighter, like a black zip-up jacket or sweatshirt. It was like a lighter jacket. I noticed he had one sneaker on, and that was it.
Do you recall which foot the sneaker was on?
I don't.
Paused.
So we have, I can't remember his name, Caneller or whatever he is, saying he was in a puffy coat. Now we have her saying he had a zip-up hoodie. Not right. Neither one of them are right.
Right. It was a pullover hoodie, but that's a small detail. I don't think Katie never actually worked on the body, did she? Did she ever give CPR? Or I don't think she did.
She got in the ambulance with the body.
That's
true.
true.
But they were doing CPR. They would have already had the hoodie lifted up because they would want to.
But it would still have been on his body.
Okay, playing devil's advocate, maybe she thought it was a zip up because you know how they had to cut it up.
Yeah, that's true.
I will give her credit.
But she said it was black. His shirt was brown or gray with dark sleeves.
Yeah, good observation in that.
But you know that you're talking about how memory works. I mean, I don't want to make something out of something all the time. And I
understand that. But you're testifying in a court of law.
Right. But memory is different. If you've ever tried to.
Okay, time for chocolate. I'm getting out my chocolate. I'm feeling like we're back on The View again, like we were on Spa Night.
Listen, they love our craziness. What are you talking about?
I brought my chocolate just for this moment.
Hey,
I know.
Girl.
Okay, let's finish her up.
I got them for Christmas.
Oh my God. No more pausing. We're going to finish her up now because I would like to finish with Flamati. And it looks like we're going to have to do Katie again next Friday, at least with her defense, unless you guys, because I'm not going to roll this out into a 3-hour live stream. So we may have to have Katie start us off next Friday. And then I would like to ask all of you that were nice enough to be live with us tonight, all of you true crimers and people that are so interested in Karen Reed, John O'Keefe, who would you like to see us do next week? I really don't care. So I'm happy to do any of the witnesses that just really got your goat. But remember, we're looking at the ones that were evasive or lied because there were
and
plenty
put it in the comments.
We're not going to look at.
Like to see next week. Put it in the comments. Please.
Yeah, please put in the comments. Or if you're watching this on replay, please email me. I'll put my email up. And while we're taking, let me finish off with Lally. And then I just want to let you know, I came up with a new hashtag today, and it would really mean a lot to me if you guys would consider using it. I think it's time for a new hashtag for Trial 2. And I'm tired of the anti-Karen Reed saying that we don't care about John O'Keefe just because we believe Karen was framed, because that's absolutely the furthest thing from the truth. Everybody that thinks Karen Reed was framed also wants justice for John O'Keefe. So I came up with a new hashtag today. I put it on my Twitter X. I'll put it on Facebook. It's streaming along the bottom here with one of our hashtags, which is My Life Mattered, because every single person that's ever born, their life matters. And if they're murdered and taken out before their time by a very nasty human criminal being, we need justice for them. We have to find justice for them. That's just all of our jobs, to care about those whose crimes aren't solved and who our families are in pain because their loved ones are not getting justice. So My Life Mattered is one of our hashtags for Social Change Warriors. And I'd like you to consider putting this one out when you're on your social medias. So I'll repeat it here in a minute, but let's get her and Lally out of here because I'm tired of Lally.
Wait.
All right, could I see counsel for a second, please?
Oh, good. One of those. Can I see?
Can I say something real quick?
Yeah, let me pause it just a sec.
So you had, when I was kicked out, you had said something about me having a conversation. I had an awesome conversation with somebody who believes Karen is guilty.
Yes. Yes,
And-
you did. I talked about that a little bit because you guys were doing a great debate. I got in it somehow. I think you must have tagged me, but I jumped in it, and I was really impressed with how respectful you were both being to each other.
Right. But she actually messaged me, he or she messaged me, and we had a really nice conversation in a private DM.
That's great, Annette. I mean, it's really important that we remain respectful of others who have a different view than we do.
Right. And she would come at me with my question or her questions. I would give her my responses. If we could all just do that and just be respectful,
right?
We don't have to agree about everything, but there's no reason to call people names because they see things differently. Right. Have a civil conversation. Why do you think it's this way? I'll tell you why I think it's this way. And for me to do that back and forth before you even got in the thing on X, she messaged me and I went back and forth with her. Did we agree? No. Did we agree it's going to be an interesting next case? Yes.
Yeah, for sure. And you
but
said
but we didn't rip each other apart.
I just want to respond. I'm pulling the view card. I just want to respond to something because my brain doesn't always retain everything. And I just wanted to tie in there that being bullied and harassed online is horrible. And especially if people are lying about you and saying things that you said or did that you know you didn't do, it's the worst feeling. And I think a lot of these people that actually really truly believe that Karen did hit him with her car, they don't deserve to be called names or bullied. Most of these witnesses don't deserve, like Katie doesn't deserve to be called names. If she was influenced somehow by the prosecution, then that's on her. But it doesn't mean that we're going to pick apart her hair and her face and her body type and how much she weighs and where she lives and who she dates. We're not doing that on Social Change Warriors. We represent victims and their families, and we want to solve crimes and we want justice, but we're not going to bully people that we don't agree with to get there. That's just not something we're about, and we're not going to do it.
Somebody told me, and I don't know if it's true or not, but that Katie McLaughlin is on a leave of absence from work because of all the harassment.
That is a rumor. And then Sarah Levinson is supposedly as well.
And I don't know exactly what happened, and I do want them to come and tell the truth, but I don't think that that's okay to attack them. And even if they look, Kat's like, I'm out. I give up.
All right, I'm hitting on
she's eating chocolate.
I'm eating chocolate and I'm hitting on pause.
Reed said at the scene and what people did to try to save John O'Keefe.
At that point, I asked her if there had been any significant trauma that happened before this.
What, if anything, did she say?
So she said, I hit him. She repeated it. There was a woman standing across from her who I believe at that point said, you're hysterical. You need to calm down. You're hysterical. She repeated, I hit him.
Okay.
Why did Carrie Roberts never say that she heard her say that?
That was right after that is where Lally says no more questions. So,
but why did Carrie Roberts never say, I heard her say, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him?
Because she never said it.
Mm-hmm. I don't think I'll be able to sleep well tonight if I don't at least get a little bit of Action Jackson. So I think we should do Anthony Filamati. I think we should. Filamati. I think we should show his video next Friday because we'll have to finish up with Carrie on the stand because we're into our time limit. I was trying to do this for 1 hour and 30 on a Friday night. Most of you have things you want to do, relaxation, watch some TV. So
thank you for joining us.
Yeah, if you have to leave, I understand, but I am going to show just a little bit of the cross. But we're going to finish the cross and then do Flammati next Friday. So then if you could let us know the following Friday who you would like us to review and talk about. I'd like to know who you'd like to have go next. It doesn't have to go in any kind of order. I started with Katie because she was the firefighter that tweaked me the most, and I wanted to start at the beginning. But if I'd like to kind of flow a little bit that way. So whoever you'd like to see next that really tweaked you and your positive was either evasive or lying, then let's bring them on to Friday Night Lies. So please let me know in the chat or send me an email, and I'll put up my email here in just a
I vote Chris Albert.
you want
a
Chris?
Good one.
So we got one vote for Chris Albert. So yeah, come on now, everybody who's talking.
I think Julie Albert is a weak link. I think she
do
gives
too.
away a lot more. She does not have a poker face.
But I think Chris gave away a lot of information he probably shouldn't have.
Oh, that's just because he's a hothead, and he just doesn't think before he speaks. So you're right. I think both Alberts gave out a lot of information. Well, there's so many Alberts. Which Albert?
I'm going to go up and grab hope I can get the right one.
Actually, you know what, Kat? Put a poll up.
Oh, we gotta learn how to do this.
That's something I've never done. So if you
can do that, you can do that on X.
Oh wait, I can do it. No, I can't do it. Never mind.
Sure, that's a good idea. Can you send me a text to do that? I will do that.
I will do that.
Really
darling.
good idea.
Absolutely.
Thank you. That's a great idea. Okay, I think this might be the one. Let's see if this is it. I like I said, all of these that I saved all had the same moniker of 164 Karen Reed, and then blah blah blah. You can't see the rest, so it's hard for me to figure out which one I want. Let's see if this is the one I want. It's not playing.
I love you guys, by the way, before we end.
Oh, we love you too.
I love you too.
Okay,
We'll say formal goodbyes when it's time. Don't say goodbye yet.
We're not saying goodbye. Yet. We're going to see a little Jackson.
Oh, Shauna's a Pisces too. Shauna, I'm a Pisces as well. March 10th.
I'm a
I shouldn't be
Cancer.
giving out this information, should I?
That gets me in trouble.
Is this on a break? There's no sound yet, right?
No sound. Sherry D says, no, don't end.
You don't have to end quite yet. I know I'm going to have to get up and walk this knee. So you guys can chat a minute while I walk my knee, but I want to show some action Jackson for sure. But I do want to get into a little more.
Sherry, find me on X, girl, because I love you to death.
Okay, here we go.
And Sherry, wait till you see the shirt that I sent Tom. You're going to laugh your ass off.
Okay, I think this must be.
Julie says just a little bit more, please.
Oh, yeah, we can go longer. I guess this is not the right one. So let me go.
Oh, poor Mr. O'Keefe.
I thought this was it. I know.
I feel so bad for him.
Seeing him made me feel so sad. I'm trying to figure out where Lally leaves.
He lost 2 children, and it's just.
It's not just that. He is stuck in the because I have
here we go.
Okay. Down.
Now I want to ask you guys, since you can hear me, since the sound's on. Did you notice her facial expression? She was so nice and sweet to Lally. You're going to see a complete flip of her personality, and we're going to see what Katie's really like. The real Jackson brings out the real Katie, who's not always very nice when she's being pushed. And sorry, Katie, I'm not defaming you by saying that, Katie. I'm just saying my observation is you were sweet as pie to Lally, and now you're going to be all that girl with Jackson.
But
right?
Just because somebody can be sweet and kind and together some of the time doesn't mean that that's who they are. That means that their mask has been on, and sometimes they let their true self out and the mask comes down.
Exactly. Okay, let's watch a little bit of this, guys.
309, 247. We need to straighten this out to make sure it's appropriate for you. You know what, Madam Clerk, Madam Court Reporter, just mark
get your
it as the next exhibit number, whatever in the hundreds that is, and we'll take care of this today. I don't want to waste your time, folks, while we do this, but it's very important that we do it.
It's bitchy. She's really bitchy right now.
Right now?
She's.
Did you say that out loud?
All right, so there was any objection to
When I
that from the
see
Commonwealth?
Madam Court Reporter, all I think of is Auntie Deb and
Yes.
the parody. I just see
Ms.
Auntie Deb
McLaughlin,
doing Madam Court
this
Reporter.
is the time or the
With
scene
the
that
jock
you
thing
told us
over her
about
mouth. Yes.
when you
Yes.
heard the statement that you've attributed to my client, correct?
Let's go, Jackson.
Sorry, say that again?
Sure. This is a moment in time. It captures a moment in time when you're standing there. To your right is Karen Reed, which you've described. To your left is a civilian female, which you've described. And across from you is an officer, which you've also described.
Yes.
So this would be the time or close in time to the time that you heard the statement that you attribute to Ms. Reed, correct?
Yes.
The first time you ever made that official report, or an official report to law enforcement regarding that statement was January 30th, 2022, correct?
Well, yes and no. The statement was made
Yes and no.
in front of the police officer, so that would technically be the first time that statement was made to a police officer in my presence. And then, yes, I testified to it on January 30th, as you said.
You said it on January 30th. You weren't testifying under oath, correct?
Okay. Said it.
Okay.
Said it.
Okay.
Yes.
Said it.
My question was
That's
really,
a good.
I
That's a
appreciate
good
you
distinction.
clarifying. My question was really the first time you actually told this statement to any law enforcement officer was on January 30th.
Yes.
Okay, we can take that down. That was when you met with Trooper Michael Crockett, correct?
Yes.
Obviously, that was very close in time to the event. It was the next day. Is that right?
Yes.
The events were close.
The 29th. Yeah. So it would be the next day.
Right, 29th, 30th.
Yep.
Okay. The events were fresh in your mind at that time?
Yes.
You obviously knew about the importance of that interview. You knew that it dealt with a police officer who had passed?
I knew it was important to talk to the police about what I heard.
And you wanted to be accurate?
Yes.
You wanted to be as detailed as you possibly could?
Yes.
And you understand that memories, obviously, they get a little worse with time, not better with time, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
The closer in time you are
Absolutely
to the event,
true.
the fresher your memory is going to be about the details of that event. You would agree with that, right?
Oh, the hair toss.
You told Trooper Proctor the day after the event on January 30th that the statement that you attribute to my client was actually made to the female, not to you in response to your questioning. That's what you told Trooper Proctor, correct?
I don't have those notes in front of me, so
Bitch,
I don't know that I can tell you if that's correct, but
did I say it out loud?
the
Sorry.
statement
We're not
was made in
monetized, it's
response
all right.
to my question. However, the Miss Reed was looking at the civilian woman as she said that.
The civilian woman
Which
that I know.
civilian
Fresh
woman?
recollection that what
Don't read
Which?
what you think refreshes a recollection. You can show or you cannot read it. Yes.
take a look
Yes.
at the highlighted portion of that
Yes, Mr. Jackson.
and look up when you
I'll
finish.
allow it, I suppose, because I have to.
Quit getting hot
Okay.
and heavy over Jackson,
Yeah.
Amber.
Sure.
You want me to-
Yes.
He's got that Rico Suave stuff
Does
going
that
on.
refresh your recollection about
He
what you told
does.
Trooper Proctor on January 30th?
Yes.
And you told Trooper Proctor,
Don't
quote,
let her.
in turn,
Hold on. A sidebar.
Uh-oh, here we go to
Sidebar.
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 I'll see you at the sidebar. I love it that there's a bar called the Sidebar.
That's actually a really good name.
Yeah. Okay, we
It
got
is.
we got Sidebar. So yeah, her demeanor is obviously different than when she was with Lally.
Right.
And witnesses really shouldn't have a different demeanor if they're telling the
Yes.
truth.
in fact, what you told Trooper Proctor was, quote, Karen then turned to her friend and stated, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him. End quote.
Oh, now it's
Correct?
hit him, I hit him, I hit him,
Okay.
I hit him 4
Is
times.
that yes?
Yes. If you're saying that's in quotation marks in that, then yes.
That's
Well,
what
if they
you
said I
report.
said it,
Okay.
then yeah, okay, because I
If
can't.
it says,
You don't have to agree with me. I'm asking yes or no questions, not okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes
Okay.
or no questions,
Um,
Jackson?
So in fact, what you told Trooper Proctor was that Karen Reed looked at the female to your left and said 4 times, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him, correct?
Yes.
And
Okay, she said she was across from her.
have you since
Yes.
learned the name or identity of the female that was standing to your left?
I have to pause it just for a second because
She
Shauna,
said
hang on a second, really check. I just want to point out something I put up on the screen from Shauna. That's why I paused it. And then I'm going to also let you two talk because I know you want to, and I wanted you to. Shauna, thank you for putting that up because I noticed that right out of the gate that everybody who was lying apparently, or looks like they were lying, or it sounded like they were lying and being evasive, had a cross on. And when we get to the ladies down the road, you're going to see every one of them. So either Canton is the most religious freaking town in America and all the ladies wear crosses, or Lally or somebody coach them again. Like totally, like Shauna, thank you for pointing that out. Cause I thought that the whole time. And when I looked at this yesterday and this morning, I noticed her little cross, but guarantee you when we do Nicole, when we do Jen, when we do Ellie, they are all wearing crosses. It's bizarre to me. Bizarre. Nothing against religion. I was raised Lutheran.
They're all choir girls now.
But come on now, right? Come on now. Okay, you guys go right ahead.
Can you?
Okay, for me,
when we do watch it, can you make it a bit full screen?
Yes.
Well, I'm sorry. I should have done that. I just wanted, I know you guys like to chip in, so I wanted to keep you guys on the side.
No,
but yeah,
you can make it bigger.
No, like if you hit that little thing in the corner on YouTube, it'll fill the screen of YouTube and not cover us.
Yeah, I'm trying to do that. I'm trying to
figure it out.
Remember, I'm new at all this. I'm learning StreamYard as I go every week. So every week something new comes up that I need to learn how to do. So I
for me,
to hit any buttons and screw it up. So
so for me, the number one thing I just caught immediately was initially in her testimony.
No, you were there. That one.
Initially in her testimony, she said she was speaking to a woman across from her. Now she's in her police report, she said that she was speaking to a person beside her. So the story's already changed.
And these details matter. I just don't like her attitude. And I know we have to base it on the facts, but if you can't give me an easy yes, no, calm, just giving me the facts, and there's that much attitude of okay. And then even when she's answering yes, there's a big pause, and then it's yes. Like I'm
totally agree, Amber. Pause? I totally agree with that. But her story just changed.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, again, think about how much time has gone by, and
not in her testimony.
Yeah, I'm just giving them a little bit of the benefit of the doubt with some of these finer details.
You're much nicer than I am.
That's okay. That's why we have 3 of us.
I'm going to mute myself because I'm getting pissed.
I can play good cop. You guys can be bad cop. It's all good.
I'll let Amber go at her.
Let's keep going.
No.
You're aware that the female that was standing to your left reported the exact same statement?
No.
Are you aware that the female standing to your left reported that exact same statement as, could I have hit him? Did I hit him? Did I hit him?
No, I'm not aware of that.
You then went back to the ambulance.
Ruh-roh, Shaggy.
That you believed you heard my client state.
Yes.
You opened the ambulance door, correct?
Yes.
That was the back door?
The side door.
The side door. And there were 2 firefighter paramedics in that ambulance at the time, correct?
I believe there were more than 2 at that time.
2 of them included firefighter Nuttall and firefighter Flamont.
Yes.
And at that point, you told them what you believed you had just heard.
So I went into the back of the ambulance. I said, this is his name. This is his date of birth. She says he doesn't have any medical history or allergies, doesn't take daily medications. And then I said, she's saying I hit him. And firefighter Nuttall motioned to his face.
Not I hit him, I hit him, I hit him.
Ask another question.
So the answer to my question is yes, you told in front of Flamati and Nuttall the phrase, "I hit him"?
Yes.
Did you write that in any report?
I don't write a report in this scenario of my job.
Why?
Let her finish the
You have
answer,
a dead
please.
body. You're a
So there are
paramedic.
two
There
people
should be
that will
some kind
write
of a report.
reports in my department on a call.
I call
One being the
bullshit.
lead paramedic and the other being the officer who's on scene. So those are the people that write reports, and I was neither of those, so I did not write that in a report.
Okay.
That's correct.
So let me ask the question again. You didn't write it in any report?
No.
You didn't write it in any notes?
No.
You didn't document that statement in any way whatsoever, correct?
Other than my interview with Proctor and my subsequent testimony.
You didn't
And you
document
didn't
that
sign
statement in
a
any
report
way
that anybody
yourself,
else
did you?
put
No.
out.
Since January 30th, in that conversation that we just talked about with Trooper Proctor, your statement has evolved. Is that right?
I don't know how to answer that.
You testified yesterday to something quite different
Not quite different.
than what you testified, I'm sorry, than what you stated to Trooper Proctor.
Respectfully, I think my testimony has been pretty consistent.
You testified to something yesterday
There's
quite
the little
different in
bitchiness
context
coming out.
than what you told.
Look at that
Trooper
face.
See you
Proctor.
next
Is
Tuesday.
that right?
I don't know that that's right.
Well, you told Trooper Proctor, Karen Reed looked at a female standing to your left, said, "I hit him, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him." Right?
Yes.
Yesterday, you told these jurors,
But she testified the person was across from her.
Karen Reed said, "I hit him." And an officer said, "You what?" And she repeated, "I hit him." And the officer immediately turned and went to find another sergeant.
Yeah, Seraph wasn't going down with that
Is that
shit.
right
He
or
wasn't
no?
going to
Yes or
lie.
no?
No, there was
not
more
about
to that testimony.
That's
I
not what you
think.
said yesterday?
I think I said more than that, than what you just repeated.
Is what I said consistent with what you said yesterday? There's a lot of things that you said, more of. I'm asking, is that the sum and substance of what you told these jurors yesterday?
Another
Yes.
hair
Do you
toss.
agree that from that time till yesterday, your story has evolved? It's changed.
Would I agree with that?
No.
I don't know that I agree with that.
You think the story that you told Trooper Proctor is exactly the same?
I understand what you're saying. So I
Let him
just I
finish.
understand what you're saying.
So has your story evolved?
Okay. Yes.
Okay.
Okay, yes, it's fine. It evolved.
Ouch.
Ms. McLaughlin, who's Caitlin Albert?
Oh, here we go.
I went to high school with somebody named Caitlin Albert.
With
Somebody
somebody.
Somebody
Somebody. Are you
Okay.
fucking
I went to high
kidding
school
me?
with somebody named Caitlin
Oh
Albert.
my God. That's
You
even
know
worse
Caitlin
than we
It's
thought.
worse than we remember.
It's actually worse than we remember because that's even really evasive. That's an absolute ridiculous.
Why be so evasive like that? And did you not think the internet wasn't going to internet?
I
mean-
thought that's what she said. I really thought that's what she said.
How in the world do you spend that much time partying with someone you went to high school with over the course of your college years, the pictures, so many photos, and then have the audacity to put that statement on a witness stand? See, that's where I was trying to give her the benefit of the doubt leading up to this. But when she said it just like that, and then now as we watch, is everybody still okay? Because we can come back next Friday with Katie, but I can keep going. I'll get up and stretch my knee. Let me know if you want to stay on. We've been on almost 2 hours. So it's a Friday night. Obviously you didn't have plans tonight because you're here with me and Amber and Annette, and we really appreciate that. It's really helpful
Absolutely.
to have a live chat when you're doing a live show is quite helpful. But when you're a new startup channel like we are, that doesn't always happen. We get a lot of replay, thankfully, for our victims.
Sherry D says, keep going.
Okay.
Stretch your knee.
Sherry D, let me go get my other glass of wine or Diet Coke and let's keep going. So for 2 seconds, I just want to show you guys just one thing. Let me add it to the stage. Just because I would really like your support
Shauna wants to sleep over. We're
Oh,
having a
okay.
sleepover.
That sounds fun. I'll go get my Batman pajamas on. That's an inside joke. If you came to my Men Are Dumb on Wednesday night.
That went right over my head.
That's my new monthly series where I need a
Do
night.
you have tops to go with those bottoms though? That's the question.
I do. But for those of
Okay.
you not knowing what the heck I'm talking about, we'll just take a 5-minute break right now. I just need to do something that is not John O'Keefe, Karen Reed, and all my murder victims. Not because I don't want to keep working on them, but I have my own mental health to contend with. So I get really triggered by a lot of these cases that were current. Like I spent like 3 hours with Kara Veach, and she broke down in tears and cried in front of the captain and the lieutenant because they weren't giving her the answers. She's fantastic.
Yeah.
They weren't giving her the answer she needed, and it was frustrating. And I actually asked her to just stay calm. Let's not yell at them. Let's not accuse them of anything. And then I'm the one who actually yelled at them. And so Kara admitted,
you go, bitch, you go.
Yeah, in the live last night, Kara admitted that I was the one that did. I'm telling her, let's be calm. Let's not yell at the police officers. But it's frustrating when your loved one has been killed in the way and manner that Jason Veach was. So we would just like to, thank you for coming tonight. But I want to just tell you that we have been standing for Sandra Birchmore. How could anybody not want to stand for Sandra Birchmore? So if you guys can follow us on Twitter, X, and Facebook, Social Change Warriors, and like our things and subscribe to us and keep pushing out justice for Sandra. They've only arrested one person, and we know more were involved. We know more people knew.
I don't understand why his brother has not been arrested.
Well, here's the thing though. Again, it's a little thing called evidence. Probable cause. You cannot arrest him if they don't have the evidence to prove that he was with her in a sexual manner prior to her turning 17 or whatever I forgot Massachusetts, what your law is for consensual intercourse. But that's the problem. If they don't have it, then they can't. So it's frustrating.
Poor Jimmy Clown, you are damn right.
What did he say?
Fanning is connected to all of these cases.
Oh, he absolutely is, guys. If you go back and if you pull any records and do open records law, for those of you that love to pull records, he is connected to so much, and quite a few of these officers are. So I can't not.
And how did he rise so fast in his ranks?
Right. And there's just so much wrong with Stoughton. There's so much wrong with Canton, and so much wrong that they were able to groom a child all the way through the Police Explorers. It made me physically ill when I first learned of Sandra Birchmore. And I actually started sharing information about Sandra right about the same time that Mizzy did. I found Mizzy, and I had heard about this case, and not many of the other live streamers were speaking about Sandra yet because her case was still ruined and unaliving, and it was closed. So a lot of us that got in early when Mizzy started broadcasting this out, we were like, what's going on? There's no way this girl did this to herself. So I was I cried the day that he got arrested. I was so grateful for her being a smart young woman and keeping a diary. Yeah. She literally kept a diary of what was about to be her own undoing. And that it's just so sick and so sad. So I will always, till the day I leave this planet, I will always have her in my thoughts of what
the baby,
her baby, yes, of what a tough experience she had going. I mean, just the sickness of it is just, it's heart-wrenching. So
she caught her own murder. I mean, she caught her own person that unalived.
She did.
Her.
She absolutely did.
Yeah, she did.
And she told people prior she was afraid of him, and people just weren't taking her seriously.
But she also told them the other things that were happening when he came into her apartment.
Right. She was starting to have scary feelings about him. I just wish she had never let him in that day, but I don't know. I think he was going to do it. He would have found a way because he had complete power and control over her. They were in a domestic violence situation, people. Even though he wasn't living with her, he had been having intimate intercourse with her for years and years. That makes her murder a domestic violence. I don't know if they're going to charge him with that moniker, that extra charge in Massachusetts, because they weren't married and they weren't living together, but they were a couple. And that, for me, that's enough for him to have an extra charge put on top of him.
Massachusetts isn't even the one giving the charges. This is the creative way of the federal government that stepped in, and still to this moment, knowing what we know, they still have not even charged him.
Right. So anyway, we would appreciate it if you would. We'll be doing a live stream as it gets closer to his hearing, and I believe they're doing another standout as well. Well, they just had a standout, but they're doing another one February 1st, which is the anniversary. I think I put that on. Yeah, I'll put it on my Facebook, but I also quote tweeted Mizzy out today, so you'll be able to follow that.
And then she has a channel now, Mizzy.
She does.
Yes, she does. Absolutely. So that's really great.
And we'll link that down in the description box after the video gets done.
Oh, yeah. Great idea, Annette. This is Ed Byers. He is the former law enforcement officer, Border Patrol agent who is from Indiana and lives there again now that he's retired. And he shared with us all the crime and corruption that went on with Sheriff Jamie Knowles. We've lived with him like 3 times now, and we'll be seeing him again in February because his daughter was just sentenced, Jamie Knowles' daughter, and his wife took a plea bargain as well. But there are some other nefarious characters in government that were recently arrested and are pleading not guilty. So we're going to continue to follow the crime and corruption in Indiana with Ed Byers. He's a fantastic, smart, really amazing individual who's had a heroic career in law enforcement. Sorry, go ahead.
I'm reading the chat, and Amber, you're saying that Divine was the one who groomed.
Was he one of them?
Yes,
he was, but
they don't have any proof yet, though, or he'd be arrested.
From what I've learned, though, I have to go and actually, Amber, you and I can look at this.
Mm-hmm.
We need to do some digging because I don't know that Fanning wasn't on the force before Divine was, because all the information we have about Fanning, Divine may have been sucked in too.
Okay. No,
Fanning,
I don't think so.
Okay.
There's a lot that
we can debate that later, though. I want to
figure it out.
Slowly. Yeah, but I appreciate your take on it. But I think Devane's evil. I think he was involved from the get-go. I could be wrong, but we need to dig into that. We need to do a live just on Sandra Birchmore and all these nefarious, nasty characters. But anyway, really quickly, here's Sandra Birchmore. This is Sarah Ebersol. We are working with her sister Michelle. She lives about an hour and a half from me. Sarah went missing from Ocala, Florida, almost 2 years ago in March, and she's never been found. And Marion County has been very difficult for Michelle to work with. So after we did our 3rd live show with Michelle, 2 days later, lo and behold, the Marion County Sheriff's Office finally emailed Michelle and gave her some answers to her questions, but they were not very kind to her. And we're going to live with Michelle next week so you can see what I'm talking about. And it's just not right. And they had never updated Sarah's missing flyer, which had a truck on it that a lot of people were still looking for and were concerned about. And they never updated it, which is a complete crime to treat the public.
They already knew where that truck was.
Right.
So
and
for
the public
a year,
is
they're like saying that they're
help.
looking for this and they didn't. It needed to be updated.
Right. The public was trying to help, and they were constantly going on Michelle's Facebook page saying, hey, we saw this truck. We saw this truck. And people were nervous that person could be a murderer. And Marion County never saw it in there. They never seemed to have time for an entire year to update and put a new picture of Sarah. The one they used was blurry. It was not a good representation of what she looked like. And Michelle had sent them many photos. Michelle's the one who found the truck and alerted them to where the truck was and took photos of it. So unbelievable after live streaming. This really shows you the power of It Takes a Village and what we can do when we stand up for families and victims of crimes and help them get justice. Because now the police department in Kara's case and in Michelle's case, my county, Volusia County, Marion County, only an hour and a half from me, live streaming. What is it? How much work did I have to put into that? Not a lot, you guys. I mean, I read the police reports. I've met with the families. Yes, I put work into it. But on the scheme of things, all that took after both these families were basically being stymied and shut down. And so we're going to keep doing this. We're going to keep standing. Now, Ellen Greenberg, we are standing for Ellen Greenberg. She is still ruled unaliving. Her family has been in the courts. We're going to be doing a live stream about Ellen on the anniversary of her passing, which is January 26th. 2011 is when she passed, and she's been ruled an unaliving this whole time, even though her parents have been fighting it in the courts, and the evidence does not show unaliving. We have live streamed about her. So if you're interested, just go to our library, click on the live tab, and you can look for Ellen Greenberg, Justice for Ellen Greenberg. And I actually just received an email from her mom. So we're literally working with families. That's what we're doing here. We're trying to support them, advocate for them, I'm trying to help read their police reports. Annette is trying to help with the medical examiner's reports. Amber is researching and kind of overlooking all of it and giving us her opinion from her background. So we're all working together to help these families get justice. We're not just live streaming. We're working behind the scenes with the families. And it gives us so much pride to do it, but I'm honored. I'm honored that these three families.
And if you want to be involved, message Kat.
Yes, please do.
She would take any researchers she can get.
Yes, we're all volunteers here. We're just trying to help families get closure. This is Suzanne Morphew. She is on the top here of this little strip that I created on this one. And her death is still unsolved. Her husband was arrested in the early days of her murder, but her body hadn't been found. Her body was missing for almost a year and a half. They finally found her body completely serendipitously. They were looking for another missing woman in a 30-mile radius of where Suzanne went missing. They found Suzanne buried in a shallow grave after a few months of DNA testing, which is unbelievable because there wasn't, sadly, much left of her. But they were able to determine, the medical examiner, that she was shot with a tranquilizer gun. And when they released her husband in the early days, they released him because of the prosecutor saying, we don't have enough to convict. We can't take this to trial, which in Karen Reed's case, they should have never taken her case to trial. This prosecutor in Colorado said, we won't get a jury to convict him. It's either going to be hung or he's going to get acquitted. And then we'll never be able to try him because of double jeopardy if and when we find her body. So they chose to release him and not take him to trial because they didn't have her body. Well, now they do, and nothing is happening. Her case is cold, completely cold. I don't know. I can't even find much information online. I finally found a group of people in Colorado that are standing for her, but it's not her family. It's not her kids, her daughters. Obviously, it's not Barry. Barry, my opinion is that Barry murdered her because he didn't want to share the kids and the money with her. They were about to get a divorce. They had been fighting, and it was very contentious and nasty domestic violence verbally going on. This is a very difficult case to me because I've worked with women in domestic violence shelters, and this is horrifying that he is literally Sam Goldberg is getting away with Ellen Greenberg's murder, and Barry Morphew is getting away with Suzanne Morphew's murder. That is my opinion based on the evidence and everything that I've been able to read about these cases. So if you want to help us out and stand for these important people, this is Kara Veach's husband, who I was just talking about. This is Jason Veach. He died in what was a bar fight type, not fisticuffs fight, verbal altercation in a bar. And these gentlemen decided he was a threat because he was 6'4", 250 pounds.
This is unbelievable.
So they took him to the ground without any reason to do that. He wasn't trying to fight them. There was no punches being thrown. There were witnesses. The people sitting at the bar weren't even disturbed by this verbal.
Tell him about the hatchet. Tell him about the hatchet.
Well, listen, guys, you're going to have to go watch our live stream, but I will let Amber tell you about the hatchet. So we lived about this with Kara last week. You can find it, Justice for Jason Veach, just go on our YouTube channel, hit our live tab and look for this live. You'll be pretty astounded at what's going on with this case. We are going to live again with Kara next week because of our meeting that we had, her and I, with the sheriff's captain and lieutenant yesterday. So we will live next week and give you a full update. But go ahead, Amber, let them know about Hatchet Man.
Okay, so Jason, and admittedly so, he was drunk and loud and verbal, but absolutely nothing physical, and he was sitting. This other man in the bar decided to go out to his car and get a hatchet and in some manner assaulted Jason, depending on which witness, how he did it with the hatchet. And then that moment, Jason got up to defend himself. And then not only did this man, but depending on which person you speak to, multiple people, up to 6, went on top of him and restrained Jason and killed him and unalived him. And the point is that this is in Florida, and they're saying it's Florida stand your ground.
Well, they're not actually saying that, Amber. That's something I will clarify next week with Kara.
Okay.
The police can't say that. Florida stand your ground. I misrepresented that in one of my tweets. Florida stand your ground is for the defense to use. So it's for the person being accused of the crime to use. The police can't get involved in that at all. All they can do is write the reports, interview everybody they can interview, and send everything to the prosecutor.
So that's the prosecution or the district attorney's
the
call
prosecutor
to make.
now, well, it's the stand your ground law is the defense attorney's call to make. The prosecutor can only say, okay, I've read all these reports and there's enough evidence for me to say that Hatchet Man needs to be charged with manslaughter. But right now the prosecution is saying there's not enough interviews, there's not enough evidence, we can't charge Hatchet Man with manslaughter.
Okay, so you're saying, but didn't Kara say that people had verbally explained to her that they can't, there's not enough evidence to charge Hatchet Man.
Correct.
Because of the Florida stand your ground.
No, it's not because of the Florida. That was kind of misrepresented. It's not because of the Florida stand your ground. It's because the witnesses' testimony is all over the board, and there's more witnesses that they never circled back around to, which Kara pointed out to the captain yesterday, and he was very responsive. He was shocked, and he said, "No worries." So we will update you guys on this next week if you're interested in standing for Jason Veach. He was a resident of New Smyrna Beach, where I used to live. And you're more than welcome to come to those lives and help us in any way that you can with your opinion and help us, to represent and stand for him. Yeah. Thanks, Amber. And thank you, Annette, for, chiming in with this. So I just want to round back out to where we were. Now we are at the 2:15 hour mark. Should we finish up Katie? Yes or no in the chat. I can do it if you want to. I can sleep in a little bit tomorrow. Tomorrow is Saturday. I am Sherry D. I'm happy that you know about Sandra Morphew. Not a lot of people do. I believe the people in Colorado who pay attention to crime and true crime do, but that made my heart kind of sing that you know about this case. So we are going to do an entire live on Suzanne Morphew in February, because I've got to do a little bit more research and get a few more things pulled up for that one. So sometime in February, we will do an entire show for Suzanne, and I'm hoping to reach this other person who's kind of leading this crusade on Facebook for her. Okay, so what do you guys want to do? Do you want to finish Katie next Friday, or would you like to finish her tonight? Amber, Annette?
I say we go a little bit more because we're just getting into the best part.
All right. We're basically, there's not a whole lot to go with Katie, guys. So we can finish her. And if you're tired, please go to bed, watch it on the replay. Thank you so much. Email me anytime with questions or suggestions for future. If you have anything going on in your communities that screams crime and corruption, please let us know. Or if you know of a missing person, or you know of someone whose murder has not been solved and needs people to stand for them and advocate for them, please let me know. Obviously, these two cases in Florida are unique because I'm able to meet the families in person. I'm able to go with them to these meetings at the sheriff's office, which is really helpful to me and to them. Can't do that for all, I can't be flying all over the country. Maybe someday if things change and I can have a budget for that, I'd be happy to. But right now, everything has to be video chatting and over the phone for most of our cases. But I have two right here in my backyard that we are currently working on. So that really makes the dynamic really interesting for me.
Thank you, Clerk Jim Clown, for coming. He's past his bedtime. He'll
thank
the
you
rest
so
on replay.
much. Thank you so much for coming. We hope to see you on another Friday Night Lies. Thank you very much to anybody who's been in with us live tonight. And we're going to finish this up quickly, and then it'll be on replay for all of you and hopefully others to watch before next Friday. Okay, let's go back and finish up Miss Katie, evasive Katie, who likes to be a little snarky now with our Action Jackson.
She has, listen, I got nothing with her. She has everything on me when it comes to the snark. She wins, hands down.
Now she's an acquaintance. Okay, this is good.
Wait, we can't hear it.
Can you hear it now?
No, it's not up on the screen.
So we might see each other occasionally because of mutual friends.
She says that then she finally admits they were acquaintances. She's got her arm wrapped all around her in every photo I've ever seen. So, wow, that's really more than I would ever consider an acquaintance.
No.
Since January 30th, in that conversation that we just talked about with Trooper Proctor, your statement has evolved. Is that right?
I don't know how to answer that.
You testified yesterday to something quite different
Not quite different.
than what you testified, I'm sorry, than what you stated to Trooper Proctor.
Respectfully, I think my testimony has been pretty consistent.
She thought she was
something
good
yesterday quite different in context than what you told Trooper Proctor. Isn't that right?
I don't know that that's right.
Well, you told Trooper Proctor, Karen Reed looked at a female standing to your left, said, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him. Right?
Yes.
Yesterday, you told these jurors that Karen Reed said, I hit him, and an officer said, you what? And she repeated, I hit him, and the officer immediately turned and went to find another sergeant. Is that right or no? Yes or no?
No, there was more to that testimony.
That's not what you said yesterday?
I think I said more than that, than what you just repeated.
Is what I said consistent with what you said yesterday? There's a lot of things that you said, more of. I'm asking, is that the sum and substance of what you told these jurors yesterday?
Yes.
So you would agree that from that time till yesterday, your story has evolved. It's changed.
Would I agree with that? No. I don't know that I agree with that.
You think the story that you told Trooper Proctor is exactly the same?
I understand what you're saying. So I understand what you're saying.
So has your story evolved?
Okay. Yes.
Okay.
Finally got it out of her. Took 5 minutes.
Ms. McLaughlin, who's Caitlin Albert?
I went to high school with somebody named Caitlin Albert.
Somebody
named Caitlin Albert.
He repeats it.
I went to
Just
high
like
school
me.
with somebody named Caitlin Albert.
Oh, yeah. Jackson loved that
You
one.
know Caitlin Albert.
I do.
You're friends with Caitlin Albert?
I would say more acquaintances, not
Oh.
close friends.
That's total BS, Katie.
I would
Amber,
say that
Kat,
we
we're acquaintances.
have mutual friends,
Nice to
so
meet your
we might
acquaintance,
see
Amber,
each
and
other
reality check.
occasionally because of mutual friends, but we don't have a one-on-one friendship or hang out regularly.
Oh! Ouch!
Who's her dad?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Do you know who her family is?
He's not only on
Objection.
TV with, what is it,
Sister.
Boston Confidential or something like that?
Yes.
Or Boston
We don't
Spotlight?
hang out. We don't hang out.
You did hang out. You might not hang out today, but you did and you were close. Yeah, it just doesn't make any sense. And I get it, because you have friends when you're in high school and then you're transitioning into college,
Right.
and people move to different areas, they go to different places, you grow apart. But I could tell you the people that I was close to in high school and college, I may not speak to them every single day, but I still consider them a friend because we had that energy. I could call them up tomorrow. That actually happened with a friend of mine.
But
I've
if you
known
don't
since I was
hang
12.
out, you're not going to be in all of those pictures together.
They did hang out. I mean, most of them, except for the baby shower, were more towards the college years, high school, college
I
years.
agree with both of you. I don't think you call someone you hang out with that much an acquaintance. That I don't agree with that at all. And she tries to mess with him and mess with the correct verbiage, the correct words that you use. And
she
that's
tries to minimize it.
right.
She thought she was so smart.
I know. I like you said, Amber, did she think the internet wasn't going to internet? I mean, come on. It's crazy. So what was this when did they go to sidebar here? My sissy Deborah says she has demon energy, and Sissy Deborah is super awesome and cool. And she knows so many awesome things about so many things. She's so intelligent, you guys. If she says she has demon energy, you trust her. She has demon energy.
I'm not quite there yet with her. I'm sorry, my phone's gonna die, so I'm getting the charger.
I had
I'm
to
not
do that
quite-
earlier. That's why I was off earlier. I had to go get my computer.
Look what it's the fan. I
Fans
missed you.
only. We have a fans only going
Oh
on.
my gosh, that fan thing cracks me up.
I never thought I'd say I'd miss the fan.
Oh my
I
gosh.
miss the fan.
When oh my gosh, we have to end with Auntie Deb tonight.
Can we play one of the songs?
We have to play one of Auntie Deb's first parodies. When I first saw it, I emailed him and told him, this was early before anybody really knew who he was other than his friends and family. I emailed him and we started chatting and we've become friends. And I constantly send him messages reminding him how talented he is and that he needs to be on Saturday Night Live.
No, I vote for the Notorious B.I.G. Big Papa cover for Bev. I had not seen this before and I saw it for the first time today and I was like, genius, pure genius.
Yeah,
but
we're gonna
tell
have
us
to
in the chat
Friday
which
Night
Auntie Deb
Lives.
won.
Yeah, we're gonna have to end every Friday Night Lives with Auntie Deb. He has given me permission.
I'm not a huge fan of Auntie Deb, but I'm just now getting introduced to Auntie Deb. And some of the things, but some of the things crack me up.
Yeah. I'm being screamed at by all of my lovelies in the chat. I'm going to get up and stretch. Yes, kids, I will. I'm doing it right now while the fan is going. I'm gonna forward us now so we can get going with our Miss Katie and see what she has.
Oh,
to say
Shauna,
next.
don't tell him he's handsome. Tell him he's sexy and beautiful.
Look at how long this sidebar was, you guys. Check this out. This was like almost a 10-minute sidebar by Bev. That was crazy.
Right, because they had the documented proof that had come on and been brought in as new evidence. And they oh, we don't want that new evidence in. No, we don't want that.
Okay, I have a question for the nurses in the house. Can I have a small glass of wine since I haven't had my anti-inflammatory yet?
Yes.
Yes. So, Mr. Jackson, let's mark for identification the items that you told us about at sidebar.
First in order would be do you want me to describe them for the record, Your Honor?
Oh, look at Jimmy's face is all red.
So they're not to be put up on the screen.
These are 4 items. One of them.
So don't describe them. I need to see them. So let's bring them up, mark them for identification, Madam Clerk. Then you'll get them back. But I need these marked for identification, and I need to see them.
And Jimmy, did you see Jimmy's face, the clerk's face? He is so pissed.
Can you hear how put out she sounds? Like Bev sounds like.
Look at his face. Look how red his face is.
I know.
Jimmy's like, oh, this is not how this was supposed to go. And Madam Clerk, even her face is red. Oh, and Lolly's, look at Lolly's back of the neck. It is so freaking red. Oh, shit. We're screwed now. And look at everybody on the defense side is all pale and not red. Oh, look at Paul's face. Paul's face is even red.
Oh, he was mad the whole trial. Paul's face was red the whole trial in that.
Right, but the top of his head is like all clear. His face is red. Look at it.
Okay, so we have 4 pieces of paper marked for identification that appear. You got these off of social media sites, Mr. Jackson?
That's correct.
Okay. When did you get these?
I couldn't tell you the exact date, but we probably had them for between 6 months and a year.
All right. And Commonwealth, you've not seen these before?
No, Your Honor.
All right. So we'll talk about Rule 14 in a little bit, but we'll bring the witness in. You can ask her questions, Mr. Jackson, about her vacation that you mentioned, the drinking that you talked about, the relationship with
Oh, look at Paul's
Miss
face.
Albert,
He's pissed.
forgotten the first name already. And
Oh, even
Caitlin
Carl's
and about
face
the
is
house.
red.
So you can ask her questions
Oh!
about that. And let's see, you can show her
And
these
Aaron.
exhibits or
That's
these
surprising.
marked for identification.
I like Aaron.
If you need to. You may have trouble actually getting those into evidence, but I'm going to let you find out. You can ask her to identify them, how long ago they were, things like that.
Thank you.
All right, could we
Do
bring
you
in
all
Ms.
see how
McLaughlin,
red
please? Yes.
Carl Dougal and Kevin or Paul
And
O'Keefe's
Commonwealth, you just
faces
saw these
are?
today. I'm sorry, I don't remember if I asked you that.
Yes, and yes.
And you were objecting that you objected sidebar that these come in at all?
Correct.
Okay. Oh, here's the fourth one. I'm sorry.
Karen's face
Mr. Jackson,
is
here's
red.
the last one.
They all deserted me, everybody, but
All right, so Ms. McLaughlin, Mr. Jackson's going to be allowed to ask you
Okay.
questions outside the presence of the jury, and you're still under oath and you have to answer them truthfully, okay?
all right, Katie, come on, see what you're gonna do now. How many hair
McLaughlin,
tosses are we gonna get?
When, just briefly as a predicate, when you stepped out, I just want to make sure we're very clear. Did you have a conversation with anybody from the Commonwealth between the time you walked out of court and just now?
Just about if I needed a drink of water or to use the restroom.
Okay, but nothing about the substance of your testimony?
No.
Ms. McLaughlin, I asked you before we broke if you know who Caitlin Albert is.
Yes.
You said that you went to high school with somebody by that name, correct?
Yes.
You in fact know that person as a friend, correct?
I know her.
She's more than an acquaintance.
I would say she's an acquaintance. She's not a close friend.
She had a group of friends of yours?
We have mutual friends.
How long have you known her?
This is where she gets me, really gets me.
Probably since high school.
When you say, and I don't want to ask your age.
We're not close friends.
many
I'm not
years?
gonna tell her
How-
what
how long
kind
of a
of
span
underwear
of
I'm
years
wearing.
do you know her?
Since high school, so maybe 10.
And you know her family, generally?
I don't.
You don't know anything about her family?
I don't know her family.
Had you ever been to her house?
Not that I recall ever being there.
Not that you recall, or you haven't? There's two different things.
I don't recall ever being there.
Okay, so you might have been there, you just don't recall.
I don't recall ever being there.
Would you take any of your friends around your
If I were
family?
to ask you if
No.
you've ever been to her house, yes or no, you cannot answer that because you don't know. You cannot recall, correct?
I can do that too.
I would say, I would lean towards no. I have no recollection of ever being at her house.
I have to figure out if there's pictures of
Are
me
you
at her
friends with her on
house.
social media?
Yes.
May I approach you on it?
Yes.
I'm just going to leave all four of these up here. I know what they look like. Can you do me a favor and take a look at the first document? What does that document appear to be?
It says Caitlin's friends.
What does it look like? That's a printout of.
I'm sorry.
What does that look like? It's a printout of. Does that look like it's from Facebook or one of the social media apps?
Yeah, I don't know exactly. Some social media.
Okay. Under Caitlin's friends, do you see your handle, for lack of a better phrase?
I do.
Okay. Is that you?
Yes.
Can you look at the next photograph? Before we talk about that next photograph, which is, I should go in order for the record, Your Honor. The first one was H. Before we talk about I, which is the next photograph, how long have you been social media friends, quote, friends with Caitlin Albert?
I don't know.
More than 5 years?
Probably.
More than 8 years?
I don't know.
The second photograph, or the second document, appears to be a photograph. It's I, is that right?
Yes,
Do you see yourself in that photograph?
I do.
You see Caitlin in that photograph?
I do.
When was that photograph taken?
I have no idea.
Where was that photograph taken?
I don't know.
You have no idea how long ago that was?
I don't.
What was the event that was depicted, or that is depicted in that photograph?
I don't know.
Is that local, or was that on a trip somewhere?
I don't know. Probably local. If it's a beach, I don't remember. I've never been away like to a beach on vacation with all of these people, so probably local.
When we say local, let's talk about local. I don't mean, we may have different definitions. Where would that be? What beach? I'm not as familiar with the location.
I'm not sure.
Maybe on the Cape?
Possibly.
Do you recognize some of the other folks in that photograph?
I do.
Matter of fact, there's a lot of people in that photograph, right?
There's a lot of people in it.
Did you take a trip with all those people at some point in the past?
Take a trip.
To the beach.
Did I go to the beach at some point with these people? Yes.
Okay. When did you go to the beach with all those folks?
I don't know. I don't know when this picture is from. It
Kat,
seems old to me, but
Kat, are you on?
yeah.
What was that? Did you say it seems old?
Can you let Amber back in?
Oh, this isn't like a recent to me.
I'm
How
all,
old do you
I'm
think
all
that
good.
photograph is?
I don't know. It could be around high school. I'm not sure.
And I know Mr. Jackson didn't want to ask you how old you are. When did you get out of high school?
2014.
Okay.
I graduated.
So could that have been around 2014?
It could be.
So you've known Caitlin for at least that long.
Yeah.
And when I say travel, I mean travel outside of Canton. You've gone places with her, correct?
Yes.
You posed for photographs with her,
Yes.
with other folks.
Yes.
It's like socializing and partying, correct?
Looks like socializing.
Maybe a small vacation.
I've never been on vacation with a big group of people like this.
Well, that doesn't look like what would you call that if that's not like a mini vacation?
A day at the beach?
A day at the beach. Okay. So maybe a day vacation.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
Let's look at the next photograph. Jay. May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
I do need to remind myself. That
Ooh,
photograph
that
is
look.
older, correct?
Mm-hmm.
They both look old to me. I don't know when they're from.
They both look old.
Hair
I'm
toss.
going to ask you the same questions about that. These aren't trick questions. I don't want to waste your time. What's that from?
Jackson gave her the snark right back.
I don't remember
But the hair
specifically
toss speaks volumes.
what or where this
pissed.
is.
Do you see yourself in that photograph?
I do.
You see Caitlin in the photograph?
I do.
You're all posing for the camera, correct?
Yes.
What's the location?
I don't know.
No
I don't know,
idea.
Mr. Jackson. It was so long
I
ago
don't.
This
when I
is
was
yet
underage
another socializing
drinking.
event with Caitlin.
I
that you can't
absolutely don't buy that.
I don't know where this
Everybody
is
remembers
exactly.
things, but she's not that
Sorry, I didn't
old,
mean
for
to step
God's
on the
sake.
word.
This wasn't.
I don't know
I
where
still
this is
remember
exactly.
What I did
So you've had
25
so
years
many
ago. If I look at a picture, she's totally. This is where I
Socializing
say
events with
lying,
Caitlin
not
and other
evasive.
folks
She's
that
lying.
you can't pinpoint
Yep,
this one.
100%. There's no way she doesn't remember these unless she was
No,
drunk the whole
I'm
time.
saying I can't. These photos are old. I don't know. I don't
Old.
remember where these were.
Like, I'm 50
or
years
the
old.
circumstances around them. That's what I'm saying.
You see how you're dressed in that photo?
I remember the senior
Yes.
week at the
See how-
beach.
you see the other.
Yeah. It was
I can
yesterday.
remember my prom.
I remember my senior skip
Yeah.
day. If you
How many-
showed me
how
a
many people
picture
would
of
you
my
estimate
senior
are in
skip
that
day,
photo?
I'd be like, yeah, that was at
Do you want me
Burroughs
to count
Park.
how many
and
people?
They're all
I can-
doing-
I don't
I
have
can
that
remember
in front of me.
everything that happened at
It's more
my
than
prom,
five.
and I'm
12?
freaking 56, 7 years
Do you
old.
recognize
So
those?
come on.
Dozen people.
This is where I went from her being
I do.
evasive
Did you go on
to
a
bridging into her
day
point
trip
blank
with those
line.
dozen people?
Yeah, possibly.
Sorry, Katie.
When?
You did it.
I don't
You
know.
lied. I can't
I'm
help
sorry.
that. That's not
I don't know.
slander. That's my opinion.
I don't remember.
I don't know.
How many times have
I'm
you gone
sorry. I'm really sorry,
day
Mr.
trips
Jackson.
with those dozen people?
I don't know.
How about
Sorry, it's
turning back to photograph I? How many times have you gone on day
Amber,
trips
you got me to
socialized
snort.
with those number of people? It looks like probably double that, 20 or 25 people.
I don't know.
That's a big group of friends of yours that includes Caitlin Albert, right?
A big group of mutual friends.
Oh yeah, here we
So,
go with the mutual friends
not
thing
just
again.
that
She
she's
keeps
a
my
mutual
calling
Big
the
group.
mutual
It's
friends.
not a small group. It's
Is
a
that right?
big group.
Yeah.
She thinks she's smarter than him. That's the funniest thing.
As I said before,
He does.
I
Damn.
would consider myself more of an acquaintance. We have mutual friends. I wouldn't consider her a close friend, but yeah, I mean that would be my
It's your
my
friend.
answer.
Tell the truth.
Basically grew up with her, went to high school with her.
I didn't grow up with her. I went to high school with her.
When I say grow up with her, I mean you grew up in the same
Oh,
town.
another hair toss.
Grew up in the same town.
Went to the same high school as she did.
Yes.
Socialized with the same friends as she did.
Yes.
Went on day trips with her.
Yes.
And apparently have all the same friend group. Correct?
I don't know that we have all the same friend group. These
Yes, you do.
are people
They're
that we're
all
both friends with.
It may not be
Consider her
all.
anything more than
Well, right.
True.
Take the word
I think
all
I
out,
described it
Jackson.
to you.
the answer to my question is you don't consider her to be anything more than an acquaintance.
I wouldn't consider her to be a close friend.
Now let's take a look at the last photograph.
That's it. Answer the question. That's not answering the question. I'm sorry.
Donna's
It drives
getting
me
punch
crazy.
drunk.
Describe what's in that photograph.
I'm getting silly punch drunk.
Um,
I'm
Me
getting
too.
really
There's
drunk. No, I'm just
it's a
not
picture
really.
of me.
Is it pro punch
Caitlin
drunk
is in it,
or
and
just
there's
punch drunk?
seems to be other people in it as well.
May I approach?
Me too.
Yes.
He was really
That
something else.
look that she gives him, like
Like a death stare.
Sorry, I want to drop it on you.
My sissy Debbie said a demon
That's a close-up
stare.
photograph.
she might know more than I do.
Caitlin and I'm also in it.
And you're doing what in the photograph as it relates to Caitlin?
It seems like I'm kind of kneeling down next to her.
Touching her?
Kind of seems like.
Can I see that for just a minute, please? What, Bev? What? She has to always put herself into everything.
So just for the record.
Kind of seems like
may I
I'm
approach one more
kneeling
time,
down
ma'am?
next
Yes.
to her.
Take a look at that one more time.
Yeah, she wanted to make sure that wasn't her hot tub, Sherry. Sherry D. Sherry D says,
Are you sure you didn't rent
that's
my-
a hot tub picture.
Yes.
Are you sure you didn't rent my Cape Cod?
This poor girl aged
Yes.
20 years on
Right
that
arm around
stand.
Yes.
Both appear to be wearing swimwear,
Yes.
bathing suits,
Yes.
and you're giving some sort of sign with your left hand.
No, I'm not.
Is that somebody else's hand that I saw? Maybe that's Caitlin's.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I don't have the photograph in front of me. I don't have it.
Oh,
memory.
she's pissed.
Looks like that's a photograph that you and Caitlin posed for together, correct?
It seems like it's a close up of a bigger, like a picture. It seems to be zoomed in on a group of people.
Which was posted
Oh.
on social media,
Okay.
is that right?
Are
Okay.
you telling me
That's
that?
not an
I'm asking you
answer.
that. Have you ever seen that posted on social media?
I don't recall seeing this picture, but if it was on social media, then okay.
Notice she isn't looking up when she answers him.
I don't know.
Who took the picture?
Good point.
I don't know.
Where were you when the photograph was taken?
Every
Probably at
time
a
she
beach
looks
with-
down.
If we're wearing bathing suits.
Probably at a beach.
Probably
or
at a beach.
Why
Well,
did
I
she
can't
look
see
down?
a beach in the picture. We're in bathing suits. It could be at a
Because
beach.
you remember it was at a beach. You could have been in a pool.
Right.
In the
But
photograph?
why did she continually look
You
down?
literally don't even.
You don't have to
recognize
look
your own
down
outfit?
after you've looked
No.
at that picture
That
once.
doesn't help.
So what's interesting about this part too is that she continues, so this is just from my perspective, but she continues to minimize this and she refuses to make a big deal about all these trips they took. And I seriously don't buy it that she can't she has to recognize where she was. She's not like you said, Annette, she's not in her 50s. This just happened like 5 years ago, if even that, maybe only 3 years ago. I forgot. We'd have to go back and look, but there's no way that this young lady who is healthy and is a firefighter paramedic looks at a photo of a party or an outing where they spent.
And you're supposed to remember everything when you're doing life resuscitation. You have to document everything.
Right.
Bullshit.
I don't buy it for a second that she doesn't recognize her in those pictures where they were and what they were doing. And I just don't buy it. I don't think a lot of people do. I think she did herself a really big in-service, being either coach. She had to be coached. There's no way she would have got up on this stand and completely did this whole evasive crap about mincing words with Jackson about acquaintance versus friend. There's a huge difference between acquaintances don't hang out at the beach together all day. They just don't. Not even in high school, you don't do that unless you're at a big giant like house party or something. But this wasn't that. This was an intimate vacation that a bunch of friends took together repeatedly. These same people are recognized in all these photos.
Yep.
That is not acquaintances. So she was purposely trying to be evasive and even lied in that one with that one set of questions. So this is
Wasn't the one photo of her with the 4 girls total, wasn't that in Caitlin Albert's apartment in college? If I'm remembering correctly.
I think so. Yes, I think you are remembering correctly. Here we go. Yeah.
I don't go to that one. Yes.
Yeah. I do believe that this was published by Turtle Boy News, and I put it on my Twitter X. So if you go look at my Twitter X, you'll see that this picture's up there and you can read this better, what he wrote. And then this was one of the beach outings because Jackson has showed her 2 different beach outings.
And
now.
there's only 4 girls.
Mm-hmm. There's just 4.
Then we're acquaintances.
Yeah, they're not acquaintances. This is Caitlin and this is Katie. They have their arms, she's got her arm. That's not acquaintance behavior. I'm so sorry. There's just a huge difference. That's just so obviously evasive and not wanting to tell the truth that it's just ridiculous. It's just they think we're all stupid. And that's what ticks me off the most about this case is so many of the witnesses want to believe that they're going to pull this off and that the rest of us commoners watching this trial are just idiots.
Exactly. If it would have been like 8 girls, you might have been able to pull it off, but no, there's 4.
I always, throughout the entire trial, I kept trying to give them the benefit of the doubt. And I kept trying to make excuses and say, well, why? Let me play devil's advocate. Why would they do this?
I'm going to let you guys debate this again for a couple minutes because I'm going to stand up and stretch. I have hearing issues with my right ear, so I'm no good in listening to you guys talk and Katie talk. So I want you guys to talk. So if you want to say something, just say pause.
It's not playing for us. I thought you were doing technical issues. We don't see it.
Okay, technical issues. It stopped playing. Okay, hang on. Sorry about that. Oh, I'm glad I knew because I didn't realize you weren't seeing it. When I leave this room, I don't see you guys anymore. So that's the one little part about StreamYard is I have to go out of this room to go start the video. That was my fault because I didn't re-add it to the stage. I had put up the PowerPoint to show that picture. So then once I re-add it to the stage, now you'll be able to hear and see it. Sorry about that.
You're good at this.
Finish me. I'm trying. Finish what
you're getting good. You're doing great.
I'm getting there. Finish what you guys were just saying though before I restart.
Oh my gosh, what were we saying?
Awesome. This is not. You don't do a 4-person picture with an acquaintance.
Not
it's a group picture.
Oh, I remember what I was saying. I was saying throughout the entire trial, I kept trying to give them all the benefit of the doubt. I kept trying to say, well, what could explain this that's not nefarious or not,
right.
Wrong. And I can't with her. I'm not understanding why it just wasn't honest from the beginning and transparent from the beginning. Why is she being evasive about all of this? Because she looks like, what are you hiding? You're lying. And maybe she was just afraid that they were going to try to poo-poo her testimony. So she was trying to minimize it on purpose so they wouldn't poo-poo her testimony. Now you've
agree with you, but Yeah, I
But
agree
it-
with you, but
but
I don't
if-
think she would have done it herself. I think she was
Right.
coached. Yeah.
But if you were telling the truth, there's no reason why every time you're asked a question that you weren't comfortable with, that you would be looking down. You would look them straight in the eye
Right.
and you would answer their questions.
Right. It'd be
Yeah,
if she was like a person who was kind of shy and quiet and a nervous type person. She's a firefighter paramedic. Trust me, that's not her personality to be shy and
No.
demure and quiet and look down. People like this look you right in the eye and interview you, that they are interview with you, that she's a go-getter. That's why she does this very honorable job as a firefighter.
That's not how people in the medical field operate.
Right. I just don't understand why she allowed herself to be disparaged like this because of her behavior was so egregious, so evasive, lying. I feel bad for her, to be totally honest with you, because I think you could tell she really liked her job and that she really liked being a firefighter and a paramedic, and this has affected her. I mean, we don't know for sure because we're not in Massachusetts. We're not her family or friends. We don't know what she's doing right now. We only hear hearsay. So we don't know if she's on a leave of absence or if she's actually working. We don't know that. So we're not going to say that on here because that's just
I'm going to try to find that out.
All right, you go research that and let us know if she's on a leave of absence or she's working. But I honestly do feel bad for her that she got, all the paramedics and firefighters got swooped into this case because they had to come to the scene, because they had to come to try to save his life. So whatever happened after that they were told or coached, that's not on them really completely. So it's just a shit show. Okay, let's finish.
Sherry D likes our perfect pause, the look on her face and
I don't
body
remember
language.
exactly.
Oh,
it's probably been a few years.
When was the last time you went to an event, socializing event with Caitlin?
Again, I don't remember exactly.
Did you talk to Caitlin at any point at or around, on or around January 29th, 2022?
No.
When was the last time you had talked to Caitlin before January 29th, 2022?
I don't know.
Would it have been a day before, a week before, a month before?
No, I don't talk to her. Like I said, we're not like close friends, so it's like pretty infrequent that we would interact. So I don't know when the last time before that.
Downwards.
What about texting or Snapchatting or communicating in that way?
I don't remember.
Would it have been a week before the 29th?
I don't think so.
You don't think so, or you know so?
I don't think so.
What about after the 29th, after you responded to 34 Fairview? You ever have any communication with her?
Not that I can recall.
So is that something that you think you might remember if you responded to a house of her father where there's a police officer dead or dying on the yard,
Did you see it swallow?
on the lawn, 30 feet from the front
Yeah.
door? You might have had a conversation with Caitlin?
I've never had a conversation with Caitlin about that call or this case.
Did you ever contact any of your other friends about the fact that you responded to Caitlin's parents' house?
No.
Were you ever asked about this?
Did you have
relationship
any
that you had
conversation
Caitlin
with
Albert,
any member
this
of her
friendship that you had
family?
with Caitlin Albert at or near the time of the 29th of January?
No.
Did you ever disclose to anybody that you had a relationship with Caitlin Albert at or around the time of this event?
No.
When you went to 34 Fairview, you knew that that was the Albert family home, correct?
No.
When did you learn that it was the Albert? You now know that.
I know that now.
When did you find that?
I don't know. I don't recall. It was some point after. It was, but I don't know when.
Would it have been the next day?
No.
You and firefighter Flamati and firefighter Nuttall were all discussing this case pretty intently.
Sorry.
After this event, correct?
No.
It's not that often in the little town of Canton that a police officer is found dead or dying on another police officer's lawn. Wouldn't you agree with that?
We responded to a medical call. So the conversation after the fact, was at the hospital debriefing the call, going over what happened, what we use for equipment, what we need, and just like that was the
So, Shauna, and wondering why they are drilling this young woman. The trial was so young. You're not wrong about that, because I think out of the gate they wanted to show that there was some type of a cover up, some type of corruption. But it's so early in the trial, and they are taking a long time in this testimony, and the jury's probably going, "What does this mean?" The jury may have been confused what this whole line of questioning was even about. So that's a really good observation, Shauna. And then Sherry D wrote, jury fatigue at Shauna. Yeah, I mean, I'm wondering if, these guys are experienced trial lawyers. So you'd think they'd have to know that. But I think looking back, it's almost like a football coach and the players who looks back at tape after a game. And Amber, your husband is a basketball coach. They look back at tape and then they're like, "Oh man, we should have ran that call there. Why didn't we do that?" Because hindsight
Monday
is
morning
20/20.
quarterback.
Right. And hindsight is 20/20. None of us are perfect. And even the best of the best aren't perfect. They, gut feelings or gut calls are made, right?
But it wasn't them giving jury fatigue. It was Lolly.
True. But I think what Sean is saying here is that this has been a long haul that we've been watching right now with Jackson just going over every little thing about, are you acquaintances? Are you friends? How long have you known her? I mean, I just think 2020, Jackson's probably saying, I should have done this a little differently. That's just my opinion.
I agree. I
Yeah.
disagree. I mean, he could definitely tweak it, but I think it was important to show her dishonesty because she was the first one to make the comments of "I hit him," and that seems to be the only evidence that really supports that potentially Karen Reed may have done this. So he needed to poke holes in this. Now, maybe he'll tune up his strategy, but I think they need to figure out a way to make it make sense to the jury at that time because they're not going to remember it 4 weeks later.
Mm-hmm.
So Amber, here's what I would say. Go in right away with the photos. Don't even go into whatever her testimony is. Go in with the photos immediately and say, you said you didn't know her.
But I think then she could weasel her way out of it. He had to lay that foundation first.
Okay.
So she couldn't weasel her way out of it. Not that he can't perfect it, but I totally understand the strategy here.
Yeah, I hear you both. I mean, you're both right in so many ways, Shauna, all three of you. Hi, Making Changes. It's really nice to see you. Thanks so much for joining us tonight. We really appreciate you, having you. It's always great to see new names. So I love that, Making Changes. That's a great tag name there. I am sick of the I'm afraid excuse for these people. Yeah, no, for sure. Absolutely.
Oh, Sherry D said they didn't have the photos initially. Yes, I forgot. That's accurate. They had a few photos maybe, but the rest of them, the interneted in, they came in.
Mm-hmm.
So good observation.
Yeah. So, okay, we're almost done with her and then we'll be done and we can watch a little anti-Deb and I'll go to bed.
Extent of the conversation.
Photos were sent to the defense after Katie initially testified.
Its notoriety is discussed at the fire station almost daily.
I don't know when I'm not there, but it does get brought up.
And obviously the fact that the house belonged at the time to the Albert family is part of that discussion.
I don't know. Like I said, it gets brought up, but I just avoid it. I don't engage in the conversations.
It was certainly enough of a subject matter that you learned, according to you, after the 29th. That house belonged to Brian Albert, Cole Albert, parents of your friend Caitlin Albert, right?
Well, at that point, it was on the news consistently, so I don't know where that information was introduced, but
it was pretty early on after the 29th.
I don't recall when it was known that was the case.
I mean, you didn't learn that was the Albert family home last week.
No.
You've known it for going on 2.5 years.
I don't know exactly when I learned that that was the house.
I realize you don't know exactly, Ms. McLaughlin. I'm not asking you the day you learned. I'm asking you, you've known this basically the lifespan of this case.
At some point after I learned it.
Right. I'm just trying to figure out about how long after, a week after, a month after.
I'm not sure.
But it was more toward January 29th than it was yesterday, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, just a moment, Your Honor.
Yes.
I love that face. She is so freaking pissed.
One other, just a couple of brief questions. Do you know any of Caitlin's siblings?
No.
You don't know Brian Albert Jr.?
No.
Do you know of any of her extended family that might be a little closer in age to you, like Colin Albert?
No.
You ever met any of them?
Not that I recall.
Not that you recall, or no?
I don't remember meeting any of them.
Your Honor, that's all I have right now.
All right, Mr. Lally, any questions?
Sure. Just a few, Your Honor.
Oh, look at how red he is.
So, Ms. McLaughlin, you're not friends with Caitlin Albert, correct?
I'm sorry.
You're not friends with Caitlin Albert, is that correct?
I would say she's an acquaintance, not a close friend.
Now, you were shown some photographs of you.
Two different.
Fairly
two
large
different.
Caitlin Albert, correct?
Yes.
You don't know when those were, correct?
I don't know exactly.
You don't know where you were when those were taken, correct?
No, not exactly. They seem old.
And
coached.
Just to back up, you knew her in high school, but you weren't friends in high school, right?
I would categorize our relationship as always being just acquaintances. I knew her. We had some mutual friends, but we were never close friends. We don't have a one-on-one relationship.
Shauna, I don't know exactly who that is.
High school versus post-high school, would you see her more so during high school, the high school years, or after you graduated?
Well, probably more in high school just because you're there every day. But then afterwards, yeah, it was only here and there. Like I said, like mutual friends. So maybe events for mutual friends, I might run into her.
Yeah, they ran track together.
Reference to it, but that last photograph that's marked as K, that seems to be a cropped or sort of zoomed in of a larger photo. Is that right?
Yeah. Yes.
Now, as far as each of those photos you were shown, you're present in a photo with Caitlin Albert in a much larger group, correct?
Yes.
Have you ever hung out or socialized with Caitlin Albert outside of the setting?
No.
You've never been
Stop
to her
clapping.
house, before that date?
No, it's this
January 29th.
fuckery disclaimer at the bottom.
Correct.
Julie pointed it out.
And your house that
Just
you know of,
noticed
correct?
that.
Correct.
Stop it!
You got a second snort.
Now, as far as that,
My family hates me because I snort.
As far as social media
I
is
love it.
concerned, as far as the friends, and without sort of doing it, I'm sort of putting that in their quotes. How many
Exactly,
friends would
Sherry.
you say you have on social media in total?
I don't know. Maybe over 500. I don't know.
And of those 500 people, how many of those 500 people would you consider actual?
I can't believe you put that behind. I love that.
Much less than that. Less than 10.
All right, why don't we wrap this up, Mr. Lally?
We gotta get to
When it comes to
get
that
a
day,
mojito,
you
Mr.
responded
Lally.
to your
It's time to
work
wrap
with
it
the
up.
Fire department, you responded to a call on January 29th.
It's like 10 to 4, and I have to go get my wine.
Did you have any idea whose house that was?
There's a Chardonnay waiting for me somewhere.
Was concerned with
Gotta beat the traffic to my Cape house.
No.
Right?
Okay.
And my Chardonnay is waiting.
All right.
Yes. Great transition.
So-
Time for the
So
crab walk.
there was an objection that this was in violation of Rule 14 to admit these exhibits, Mr. Lally. That's what you said, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I agree.
Oh, those are the new
so
pictures.
The exhibits
How
don't
can they
come in,
reveal something
but
they
based
don't
on
know
this voir
exists
dire and
until the night
answers,
before?
I'm going to give you some leeway on exactly what you did. Okay. The relationship, the socialization, and the
I
extent
really
of
want to
it,
see Auntie Bev right
friends
now.
on social media, those areas. You didn't quite get everything.
No,
that you-
Auntie Deb. More
Auntie
Auntie
Deb,
Deb, less
sorry.
Auntie Bev.
Yes.
More Auntie Deb, less Auntie
Yeah.
Bev.
Yes.
Yeah,
Wow. Well, we
wait.
did it. I can't believe we did it. We did it in 3 hours and 4. I thought we were going to do this in an hour and a half to 2. So an hour
But
actually.
you forgot who you were working with.
That's right. And we had such a great live audience tonight. Everybody was so awesome. Thank you, everyone. We still have 19 of you hanging with us, but we had up to 40 some at one point to go over this Katie trial in and out of the live. I don't know where we're at now because people come in and out and leave, so it's hard to say how many have actually watched it now. But you guys tonight in the live were fantastic. Thank you so much
Absolutely.
for the chat box contributors, you wonderful humans who care about justice. Thank you so much. So we will be back next Friday. I will take. I really want to go with I'm going to contact.
We're talkers.
Yeah, I'm going to contact everybody who's in the chat. I'm going to find them and contact them on social media. I want you guys to vote who we have on next week. But we will have, why can't I say his name? Flamati, right? Is that it?
Flamati, yeah.
Yeah, we're going to at least do him at the beginning because
She keeps thinking Fabio. She's like,
I told Greg we would listen to him. And so I think we could choose another, annoying kind of, person with an attitude from the police to put up with him.
There were some votes for Trooper Paul, but just the cross. No Lally.
Oh, yeah, just the cross. Okay. Yeah, well, we could absolutely go there. Or we could stick to the beginning. We could go back.
I want Carino. I want to rip that motherfucker apart.
Oh, well, we'll get to him for sure. But we could stick to somebody in this early part, the early part, just because I kind of want to go in order a little bit, because otherwise it's going to start getting really convoluted. And our brains are going to explode.
When we talk, I'll send you my notes from, because I literally went through a replay and watched and took notes as the witnesses went on.
Okay.
So I'll give you all of my notes that I have.
Well, it'd be great.
That's
We'll
awesome.
figure it out who we'll have go with him. I think it would make sense to match him with someone else from the early part of the trial. And then we can start building from there. I think I'd like to stay in chronological order, but we're not going to do all of them. So I'm going to let the audience choose who's next. But I think I do want to put that kind of barrier on it that I'd like to do it in chronological order. So it makes sense. So we can flow with the case, flow with the trial, right?
Right.
So thank you, ladies. You were fantastic tonight. Thank you for all of your contributions. You're awesome. I'm going to take us out with an Auntie Deb. And thank you, Auntie Deb, for being hysterical and for being just the unique genius that you are. We so appreciate you. Please, everyone, go check out Auntie Deb's channel if you haven't yet. He has so many lives that are just amazing with his talent. So we will see you guys next week on Wednesday and Thursday. We have guests lined up for both nights with our victim families that we're standing for. And then Friday we'll be back with Friday Night Lies. And we're really looking forward to this because we get a chance to finally talk and air out our frustrations and our opinions about the Karen Read trial. So Amber, Annette, you're awesome. Thank you so much. Everybody.
Thank you.
This was so much fun.
Who subbed us. Thank you for following us and caring about everyone that we stand for, and for caring about, obviously, all of you that live in Massachusetts. This is right in your backyard. So you do care for the cases, Sandra Birchmore and Just en Route and and John O'Keefe, of course, and Karen Reed. They're like they're your neighbors. I mean, they live in your state, so I understand your ties to this community. And even though we don't live there, you have our support, and we will continue to support all of the victims in your state. And if there's
absolutely
ever sadly any more cases, we'll look into those as well. So okay, let's take us out with Auntie Deb. You guys have a fantastic weekend. I'm going to watch
Good night,
a lot
everybody.
of football. I'm going to watch a lot of football. Good night, everybody. We'll see you next
so much fun
when Social Change Warriors is back.
Give me a kiss.
Please remember to hashtag us, just us, and My Life Mattered, calling out corruption for Thursday's Social Change Warriors. Anytime you're on social media, that will really help us. So thank you so much. All right, Auntie, let's take us out, Auntie Deb. I got to do share screen. I got to go back to the beginning where I was before. Here we go. I think I'm doing it. So let me know if you see her.
Use your quiet voice, Kat, while you're doing it.
Wait, no, it's fuzzy. No.
It's supposed to be like that. Hang on, I got to get.
No, I see.
I got to remove that.
Okay.
Hang on a second. It's supposed to be like that. He's doing wacky
Amber's
music.
like, no.
I got to add him to the stage. No, he's supposed to be doing stuff like that. Let me remove this one. We don't need that anymore. Remove from studio. I'm getting rid of all this extra stuff we do not need. Remove
like me.
Studio.
No.
Good night, everybody. I love you. Thank you for participating.
It should be letting me add this one. I don't know why.
We do this every Friday night. This is like what I'll look forward to at the end of
the
every
best.
week.
Okay, I'm going to have to kick this one out. Stop sharing my screen. It's going to make me reshare my screen. It didn't like it that I was trying to switch tabs is what it was. It wasn't letting me just switch a tab. So I got to go back again to start from the beginning. Yeah, this is a great way to end the week going over the testimony, especially since we're going to get closer and closer to the second trial. For those of us that have watched it and been part of it since the beginning, I mean, it's sort of like kind of like calming almost to be able to go back and watch these witnesses and talk about it. It just makes me feel more justified in feeling the way I feel. Now, obviously, something could happen at any time that could reverse all this, and then we're all going to have to say we were wrong. But I don't think that's going to happen. I just don't see that happening. There's too many things that don't add up in this case. And as we go through this on Friday nights with witness after witness after witness, that's just bottom line. Whether it happened the way some people think it happened or not, there will not be, the jury cannot claim beyond a reasonable doubt. And in Massachusetts,
Correct.
To a moral certainty, because we're going to show you in all these witness testimonies that is reasonable doubt. If it's testimony after testimony after testimony, that is creating reasonable doubt right there. So as a jury with a moral conscience and above moral certainty, you just could never say that she hit John with her car. There's just not enough positive evidence to combat all of the shady testimony that we're going to be going over in the next few months, right?
Like
So
if there's an
that's
alternate theory or an alternate plausible reason for what had happened, then you have to conclude reasonable doubt. And I think it's more than that, but I'm saying in the very least, that's where you get to. And I've said this to you before, Kat, they need to teach a course in high school about your rights, the Constitution, and reasonable doubt. Things like that we use with our justice system that people aren't quite understanding. Because when juries speak, they're telling us there's reasonable doubt, yet they still convict sometimes of maybe a lesser charge. So
right. So Auntie Deb may have something. I can't seem to get this to open. And I'm not sure why. I'm going to try to share my entire screen, but I don't think that's going to help because I don't know. I'm going to try. Oh, is she on now? No.
Yeah, she's live right now.
Oh, she is? But she's not.
I think she's doing the awards.
Oh, she's doing the awards. Yeah. I was hoping to show this clip from Motion to Dismiss, but for whatever reason, it's not letting me share the tab like I've been doing all night long. So she may have it blocked. There may be, might not be possible because let me try it one more time. Let me try it. I'm going to close out one more thing. I might have too many tabs open. Let's see if that now, can you see it?
Hold on.
Oh, there she is.
I see it. see
Yeah,
it.
there she is. Okay, let me go back and try to put this on full. There we go. Okay, good night, everyone. We figured it out. We just keep working through the tech issues. Enjoy our Auntie Deb and have a wonderful weekend. I'm going to watch a lot of football and decompress. I hope you get to do the same. Enjoy your families. And we'll be back next week calling out crime and corruption and standing for victims and families of crime. Thank you so much, everyone.
Love you guys. Bye.
Places, seen a lot of cases. Oh hell, I go at my own paces. A trooper, his name was Paul. He had a Queen Bev Rules poster on his wall. He asked me to join him at the policeman's ball, and he'd buy me a claw at the waterfall. Yannetti Spaghetti, built like a horse, needs to get the last word in, of course. And now, the Hills representing. When he gets out of line, Mr. Jackson, no commenting. He acts and says, who cares, I'm rich. If I give a little lip, he shouts, pull up, bitch. Bukaki, he's not Pooper Tractor. Big Benny Ben, that's who I'm after. None of them deny that I got the X Factor. It's the Great White Shark Super Attractor. Oh my goodness. Is it the end of the day, Monday? When's the 4th? Okay, sidebar right now.
Sidebar right now.
We can find a lot of
RC says she's dancing.
Right now. If you're cruising down the pike, I'll allow it sight. Rally, watch the stop. Really do a sidebar. Because if you see a blonde crab walking by you, huh? That's Bev the Overrider, dressed in all black with a ciggy in my pack. Lunatics up in here, I call the idea. All the court fees you could never afford. Sitting pretty, baby, madam, court reporter. 7 a.m. my scone's full of cream. If you don't speak up, I'm turning off the fan. I'll turn it off.
I'll turn off the fan.
Nothing goes better with crab than Old Bay. Straight out of UMass, in Norfolk I reign. Days off when I want, this is crab domain. Deliberate again till I let us proceed. And you'll catch me saying, this is funny, Miss Reed.
Funny, Miss Reed.
Right.
I love it when he
This
goes,
is my
oh,
friggin' courtroom. I ain't fucking around me.
I'm
My
not fucking
courtroom.
around. Uh-oh. Oh, he's back.
Oh,
Okay,
hi,
so I
Jimmy.
needed a second to get ready because I was running late. So I played that for you guys because
Oh, well, thanks,
can
Jimmy.
jam
I
up to that
appreciate it.
all friggin' day long. So let me
Okay.
get in. How's everyone doing? How is everyone?
We're doing great. How are you?
Everyone cool?
You are so
Is this working? I was gonna double check. I was like getting nervous.
Did you know we were just playing you?
Let's see. Who's
No,
up
he's
in
live right now.
Oh,
He's
all
this
my
isn't
peeps.
real.
All my peeps.
How do I have
He's
it
live
live?
watching
But how
his
do I-
live.
Did you get a
Somehow
haircut?
watch
How
it.
did I get it live?
A while ago. Well, it goes Dwayne. Dwayne's up in here. Okay. All right. Cool.
I am
Cool. 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 Cool.
completely-
Sarah, first time
my
here.
technical
Welcome.
Skills. What's
Welcome,
happening?
Sarah.
Why is Jimmy live?
All right, wait, no. Okay.
First time in
Wait, we
live.
can't. We have to listen. How can
Welcome.
you send
Hopefully you
our
enjoy it.
chat
I'm going to do
over
something
to
I've
Auntie
never
Deb
done, which is
so we can we can go over
watch
there.
the trial on live. Never watched it on live before, and I haven't seen. Whoa, that light's bright. Hold up. Hold up.
I am completely like, I don't know what's going on right now.
No, I think you're watching.
Yeah,
We turned
no,
on
it's
the
too much.
live, and he
It's a little
happened to
better.
be playing that song at the same time. Maybe. I don't know.
No,
Or
that's
went into
Welcome,
his
Sarah.
live.
it can't be.
Family's here.
Well, everything's serendipitous here.
Parksy's
No,
here.
it's
Parks is
Sherry
up
D
in
says
here.
I'm playing
Possible
Alaska.
Trouble is
Oh,
here.
I see.
Oh.
Adam's
I see
here.
what's happening.
Welcome,
I was
Adam.
so
Miss
confused.
Shorty's
I'm
up
like,
in here.
Jimmy, what's he doing down there?
Margaret, I'm glad you didn't go
Here's
to bed.
why-
Sherilyn,
here's
how you
why-
doing? Melly, love you too.
I'm going to tell you
Oh
why
my
it
God,
got.
that's funny.
I'm going to show you why it was confusing. This is hysterical, Jimmy. I am cracking up. So this is why it was confusing, because I had I thought I was playing one of his past shows, right? And then it's down in the green room with us. So then all of a sudden, when his rap ended, his face was down in the green room with you and I. And I'm like, what just happened? And he's talking normal, like as if he was coming in.
Right.
I was completely blown away by that. I have never laughed so hard in my life. I'm like, what is happening? What is going on?
We're like, how did he get here?
So, reality check. I sent you a message about if you could forward your chat over his live, but well, I don't know how to do that.
Do we know how to do that yet?
I would love to do that, but I have no freaking clue how to do that. So,
Does anybody want to teach us these things?
So, if somebody would go in Jimmy's live and tell him that we were just playing his live.
Okay.
I didn't realize
Yes,
that's
and
what I
go
was
into
doing.
Auntie Deb's live right now and just say it's a social change warrior and like rave. Right.
Yeah, I had
Okay.
absolutely
Because
no
we can't, we
idea.
don't know how to do it. So say this is how the boomers do it. We just tell the people to go there and say it rather than just send them there automatically when the stream ends. Okay. Just let them know.
'Cause I have no clue how to send I know that I have the power to do that because I pay extra for all these bells and whistles on StreamYard, you guys. So I know I have the power to send us into Jimmy's live, but I don't know how to do it. I would have to be talked through
We'll
it.
get there.
We'll do it
Baby
another
steps.
night for sure. But that was hysterical. That was like an out of body experience for me. I'm like, wait a minute. Why is Jimmy's face down in my green room? How did I get him in my green room? This one's going to crack me up for weeks. So thank you everybody for letting me be completely amazed by technology, because I did not know that I chose to be watching his live. I thought I chose to be watching one of his former videos. So that is just too much. Well, I guess we will play another one of his former videos next week when we end our Friday Night Live session, because I get such a kick out of all of my favorite is Miss Hyde. I don't know about you, Amber, but Miss Hyde, I mean, I like them all. They're all so good
Right.
and so talented. He's so talented. I'm talking like they're all individual people, but they seem like individual people. They seem real. They
He like encompasses the way they really are, that it's this
Yeah.
awesome parody of who they are, you know.
Sherry D as Jill, is that big boomer move talking to a live that wasn't live? But it so felt real. I was like, wait, Jimmy's in my green room. What's happening? Because it looked like he was. That was so surreal and bizarre. I can't wait to tell him about this. I'm gonna email him right away tonight when he's done with his live to tell him about my boomer live moment where 1 minute we're rapping out with a video and we think we're on a video, and then all of a sudden he's talking to us in the green room. I'm like, no, what's happening? Well, thank you, everyone. Great funny way to end our live show tonight, and I'm looking forward to next Friday to whoever we determine that we're going to go over. Is if all of you show up with as many great comments and the snark and the fun, it's just going to be another great Friday Night Lives next week. So Amber, thank you so much for everything as usual.
Thank you, love.
Reality Chat back in now she's popped out and she's in the chat. Thank you. And everyone, thanks again. I'm just going to quickly put up, well, I can't, I was going to put Jimmy back up, but he's not live anymore. So I have to go.
Oh no, he's not live. Yeah.
So I'd have to go back and grab it, and we're going to go to bed. So thank you everyone. Have a great weekend. If you love football, it's going to be a great one. And college, the national championship is on Monday for college. So I'm going to have 3 straight days of football. I am ready to roll. So see you all next week, Wednesday and Thursday and Friday. Busy. Take care, everyone.